Part 101. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1009. Boss, what happened? Ahem. Sutingyu coughed twice and announced in a very solemn and serious tone, just now, I discovered that I have grown 2 centimeters. Yes, 2 centimeters. Sutingyu even made a 2 gesture proudly. However, for a fat man with a height of 176 centimeters, he didn't quite understand Sutingyu's joy of 2 cm. However, as a professional Sichuan, the fat man still said congratulations on his face, congratulations to the boss. The boss is awesome. Hey, Loki, Sutingyu said humbly and contentedly, have you bought everything? Let's go back. Okay, boss. The fat man nodded. It was not very far from Fatty's home, so the two of them walked directly there. On the way, the fat man asked, by the way, boss, can you contact Brother Chin? I can't contact him. Can't you do the same? I've already contacted him once and it's not possible either. Sutingyu tilted her head. Fatty, that's strange. Where is Brother Chin now? It stands to reason that the liaison machine can contact him in the same round of copies. Sutingyu, it's okay. With Kikai's strength, there shouldn't be any danger. Really? At this time, Chin Chi, whom the two of them were talking about. Dear Gatekeeper, after testing, there are bugs in this copy. Please conduct a comprehensive investigation of the entire copy and eliminate the bugs as soon as possible. Chin Chi glanced at the contents of the panel and turned to look at a figure next to him. Can you find it? Now. The figure did not speak, but shook his head calmly. Generally, it is easier to perceive where the bugs are only when the copy is about to end. Seeing this, Chin Chi turned off the panel, but felt a little strange. Because he felt that the frequency of vulnerabilities in recent copies was increasing. In the past month, it might have only happened once. Find it as soon as possible. After the man next to him heard this, he walked straight away and disappeared into the darkness in the alley. Seeing this, Chin Chi also followed. The figure also disappeared without a trace. As soon as she arrived in front of Fatty's house, Sutingyu received a call from Mike. Ah, I almost forgot about him. Sutingyu clicked through, and the next second, she almost had her eardrums shattered by the roar from the microphone. Where have you gone? Why can't I see you when I turn around? Mike accused angrily, without any hint of gentlemanly manners towards a lady. Sutingyu rolled his eyes, but was not angry. Instead, he comforted Mike on the other end. Sorry, I just went to the toilet, and then I saw an event in a nearby shopping mall, so I went there. I'll be back soon. You can pick whatever you want in the mall, and I'll pay for it later when you get back. You're welcome. Just pick whatever you want, and pick more. Sutingyu's words calmed Mike's anger. Okay, come back quickly. Mike, who was still angry at first, immediately became loud and angry. After Sutingyu hung up the call, the fat man at the side asked, Boss, you don't really want to go back and help him pay, do you? Sutingyu chuckled and blocked Mike's phone number. How is this possible? Come on, let's go in. Oh, okay. The fat man's brows stretched. This was the big guy he knew. At this time, in the mall on the other side, Mike got Sutingyu's guarantee and went back to pick out a lot of high-end luxury goods. Then, they asked the waiter at the front desk to pay the bill together, and said proudly, someone will come over to pay the bill in a moment. It's just waiting. Mike has been waiting for almost an hour. Not to mention that Sutingyu's figure has not appeared at the door of the store, not even a hair of the latter has appeared. Mike slowly became irritable and restless from his original very relaxed and leisurely state. During this hour, he made many calls to Sutingyu, but none of them got through. The waiter at the front desk also became a little impatient. Sir, Please pay for these goods. Wait a minute, my girlfriend will be here soon, Mike continued perfunctorily, looking outside anxiously. However, after waiting for another half an hour, the mall was almost closing, but Sutinyu was still not there. Mike realized belatedly that he might have been tricked. Damn woman. Sir, do you still want these products? Our store is about to close. If you don't want them, I will help you return all these products. The waiter began to give an ultimatum. Yes. Why not? For the sake of face, Mike reluctantly took out his bank card. With just a swipe from the waiter, all the millions in the card were gone. Although Mike had coaxed all this money from Monica before, he already regarded it as his own money. Now, it's gone. Mike felt like he was bleeding. Akio. Sutinyu was sitting on the sofa. Just as he was about to pick up a strawberry and put it in his mouth, he sneezed slightly. Could it be that Kikai is thinking of me? Sutinyu murmured, and then happily ate the strawberries. The fat man washed all the fruits, peeled them if they needed to be peeled, and then used a juicer to fry them into various juices, and then sent them to Lucifer. Lucifer was holding his tablet, watching TV shows and drinking the juice that Fatty had just squeezed out. Boss, what dangers do you think are waiting for us in this round of dungeons? The fat man looked worried. Those players from other worlds are also a dangerous factor. They have all kinds of weird props on hand, which are hard to guard against. Because of the temptation of camp points, if they see our blue star players, they will definitely not hesitate. Hesitantly take action. Speaking of alien players, when Sutinyu just killed those alien players, something seemed to be refreshed on the panel. Sutinyu opened the panel and examined it carefully. Alien Invasion Camp Combat PowerPoints. First place, G star. Second place, Y star. Third place, L star, Blue star. Fourth place, N star. Fifth place, P star. Alien Invasion Personal Combat PowerPoints. First place, G star, I will poke your eyeballs again, 2010 points. Second place, Y star, a fool in every game, 1650 points. Third place, G star, the most handsome in the universe, 1200 points. Fourth place, L star, I will still scum you in the next life, 940 points. Fifth place, P star, he is just a kid, 900 points. Number 240, L star, hidden, Angel Su, 100 points. Sutinyu turned around and asked, Fat man, have you seen the camp standings? Where? Seeing Fatty's confused reaction, Sutinyu knew that the standings did not appear on the former's panel. It is very possible that he was able to open this list by killing players from other worlds and gaining camp points. Currently, Sutinyu has killed 4 players from other worlds and gained 40 basic points. In addition to the points already obtained by the 4 alien players, Sutinyu can take half of them by killing them, which is 60 points, for a total of 100 points. Sutinyu's current ranking was at 240th. She scrolled the list to the bottom and could only see the points status of the top 400. However, the camp's combat PowerPoints are hidden and no one can see them, only the rankings. Sutinyu guessed that this might not be seen until the dungeon ends. Sutinyu first explained the situation of the list to Fatty, and then, in response to the question raised by the latter, he said, Actually, I think the original danger of this round of dungeons is not that important. The points in this camp are more important. Fat man, don't forget, the light of our Black Tower watch in the real world is about to disappear. If we don't get enough camp points in time to continue to extend the light of the Black Tower watch, then our living environment in the real world will change. It has to be even worse. The fat man picked up a snow pear and took a bite. Yes, but since we want to get camp points, We must first find those alien players and then kill them. But, how are we going to find them? Hearing this, Sutinyu rolled his eyes and said, we can't find it, so just wait for the fish to take the bait. In this situation, we are probably not the only ones who need camp points. Likewise, those players from other worlds' faction points are also required. That's right. Seeing that Sutinyu had an idea, Fatty stopped worrying about these things. Anyway, he is just a logistician, he only needs to be responsible for calling 666. In a corner of Dead Leaf Town, a homeless man was carrying a big sack. Whenever he saw something useful on the road, he would immediately pick it up inside the sack. Occasionally, a few pedestrians passed by, and when they saw this homeless man, they all looked disgusted and walked away quickly. The homeless man didn't care, since he had to experience this kind of thing hundreds or thousands of times every day. If he feels like it, he will deliberately scare those petite girls or naive children. This is one of the few joys of being a homeless person. After picking it up for several hours, the homeless man looked down at the watch on his wrist. This was also picked up. It is already 2 o'clock in the morning, and the temperature at night will drop sharply. Now walking on the road, going back and forth, I feel a little bit cold. The homeless man casually glanced nearby and discovered a small park. Generally, small parks will have benches inside. The homeless man took his big sack and walked to the park. But he walked around the park and didn't see any benches suitable for sleeping, just round stone benches. Having no other choice, the homeless man directly found a piece of grass and threw the sack on the grass. Because of the dim light, the homeless man did not notice the dozens of small red flowers falling on the grass. The homeless man found a shabby quilt from the sack, spread half of it on the grass, and used the other half to cover himself. Just like that, the homeless man hugged his sack, slept directly on the grass, and began to dream about picking up the winning lottery ticket tomorrow and becoming a millionaire. Copy the next day. After Sutinyu woke up, she was going to go out for breakfast with Fatty. While passing by a small park, Sutinyu heard a commotion coming from inside, as well as something like dead people. Sutinyu and Fatty walked in without knowing why. Look, people are dead here, damn. How did you die? It's so scary. Is this some kind of disease? Tramps may have some strange diseases, right? The crowd of onlookers gathered around a corpse on the grass and were talking among themselves. They didn't dare to get close, but driven by curiosity, they gathered here, each one transforming into a detective to deduce the cause of the homeless man's death. Boss, what happened to him? Why does it feel like he's been sucked dry? The fat man touched his arm and got goosebumps. The death of the homeless man is indeed a bit scary. There were no visible scars on the outside, as if it had been sucked dry by something. Is there a monster in this round of dungeon? After all, no matter how you look at this kind of death, humans can't do it. Moreover, the more Sutinyu looked at it, the more she felt how the homeless man died. She seemed to have seen it somewhere before. It was also drained dry by something. The skin color on the same surface shows the kind of yellow-green, like the color of dead branches and leaves. Suddenly, Sutinyu glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw a very inconspicuous red color. Etc. That's a little red flower. Have these little red flowers become ubiquitous? Why are there little red flowers here? Sutinyu took out her mobile phone, turned on the camera, and took a photo of the little red flowers on the grass. Then just use the photo to search for this little red flower online. The search results only found similar flowers and plants, and none of them found this kind of small red flower. Another result is that the little red flowers are simply classified as wild flowers on the roadside, the kind that can be seen everywhere. Little red flower, Dead Leaf Town, flower arrangement, alien invasion. For a moment, Sutinyu couldn't help but think of his 108 little broken flowers. Will there be any problems with this little red flower? Just as Sutinyu was about to pick up a small red flower from the grass and take a closer look, the sound of a police car came from outside. Soon, several police officers rushed over, began to evacuate the onlookers, and cordoned off the scene. Sutinyu and Fatty were also kicked out. Sutinyu wasn't in a hurry even if he didn't get the little red flower. After all, it seemed like such little red flowers could be found everywhere. Fat man, let's go have breakfast first. Sutinyu, who had just seen the corpse, said that he was hungry. The fat man didn't think there was anything wrong. Okay, boss. The two went to a breakfast restaurant to have breakfast. While having breakfast, Sutinyu talked about the little red flower. Fat man, there may be something wrong with this little red flower. Just like the cow from Two Heavens of Ice and Fire, the fat man thought for a while and said, "Boss, haven't you conquered many cow? Then let them come out and identify them." Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1010. Hearing this, Sutinyu looked at the fat man with strange eyes, making the latter feel very nervous. Good idea. Sutinyu clasped her hands together, but we have to find a place where no one is around. If there is nothing wrong with those little red flowers, if Sutinyu puts the little broken flowers in public, those NPCs will be frightened. After breakfast, let's go take a look. 20 minutes later, the two came out of the breakfast shop and walked on the sidewalk of the main road. In the early morning, there were not many vehicles and pedestrians on the road. We also saw some sanitation workers pulling garbage trucks to clean the streets. When the two of them turned a corner, they saw a sanitation worker pulling a garbage truck. "Boss, this car of flowers." The fat man opened his mouth slightly in surprise. Sutinyu also saw a bunch of small red flowers in the garbage truck. She walked over and talked to the sanitation worker. "These flowers look very beautiful, do they have to be swept away?" The sanitation worker glanced at Sutinyu. "Are you a foreigner? This kind of flower can't even be named in Kuytown. I haven't seen it much in the past few days. I don't know what happened recently. It suddenly appeared. If there are too many, it has seriously affected the growth of other valuable flower plants." "Oh, so that's it?" Sutinyu seemed to suddenly realize. After the sanitation worker pushed the garbage truck away, Sutinyu fell into deep thought. This flower has never appeared in Dead Leaf Town before? But now there are more of them all of a sudden? "Boss, look," the fat man raised his hand and pointed to the green belts on both sides of the road. Ornamental trees of about 1 meter are planted on the green belt, spaced about 1 or 2 meters apart. At this time, the empty land in the green belt was covered with a layer of densely packed red flowers. I don't know if it was Sutinyu's illusion, but I always felt that the green leaves at the bottom of the green tree near the roots were slightly yellow. But now in the season of Dead Leaf Town, it's not the time for these green trees to become bald. Sutinyu picked up a small red flower and looked at it carefully. From the appearance, these small red flowers are no different from other flowers, but why can the number suddenly increase dramatically overnight? Sutinyu dug in his pocket, but actually took out a small transparent bag from the storage ring, then put the small red flower in it and sealed it. Then, he took it with him. Let's go see other places." "Okay, boss." Sutinyu and the two began to wander around the street. The little red flower was so inconspicuous yesterday, but this morning, it seemed to be appearing in many corners. Moreover, it was a big hit as soon as it appeared. But because it looked too much like a small wildflower on the roadside, not many people noticed this abnormality. However, when Sutinyu and the others arrived at the door of the flower arrangement exhibition hall, they found a notice posted on the door. The flower arrangement exhibition hall claimed that this flower arrangement exhibition was cancelled directly. Originally it was just a delay, but now it's cancelled outright. What happened during this night? Sutingyu learned that this flower arrangement exhibition is a very famous event in Kuyutown. If it were not for special circumstances, it would not be cancelled even if it was delayed. And at this time, somewhere in Dead Leaf Town. Finally got the map of Dead Leaf Town, right here. Look, which one is more suitable? The three men held a stack of various maps in their hands and placed them at the feet of a boy who looked to be only 16 or 17 years old. The boy opened his mouth slightly, blew out a big gum bubble, and then exploded with a pop. The boy's tongue flicked flexibly, and he rolled all the bubble gum into his mouth, and continued to make a bot, 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 bot sound. The young man looked very youthful and sunny, like a very cheerful and innocent big boy. After seeing these maps, he squatted down and rummaged around while chewing bubble gum. "What are these?" the boy complained as he flipped through the pages. The other three grown men stood aside, not daring to breathe, as if they were afraid that the young man would be angry. However, soon, the young man found a map that satisfied him. "I'm barely trying, just this one, it's still usable," the boy muttered, taking out the map and kicking the rest away. Then, lay it flat on the open space. The content in this map depicts a certain area in Dead Leaf Town. It happened to be where the boy and the others were now. Another big bubble appeared in the boy's mouth, almost covering the boy's entire mouth. The bubbles get bigger and rounder as they blow. The young man's eyes were always fixed on this map. At the same time, a certain item in the boy's inventory was emitting a faint white light. Soon, a small green dot appeared on the map. Coincidentally, the location corresponded to the boy's current position, and near the green dots, many red dots appeared one after another, scattered in every corner of the map. The young man took a cursory glance and saw that there were almost 1,000 red dots. When the three men saw the dots that appeared inexplicably on the map, their faces showed joy. With a pop, the bubble in the boy's mouth burst. The young man didn't care, and with a flick of his tongue, he took back all the bubble gum outside his mouth. "Haha, there are quite a lot of people. What are you doing standing around? Points will not be delivered to your door obediently." "Yes, we will go immediately." The three men looked at the red dots on the map, with a bit of predatory look in their eyes, as if they were looking at the fish on the chopping board. After Sutingyu and the others left the door of the flower arrangement exhibition hall, they returned to their residence. The fat man's room has a backyard with some flowers and plants planted in it. In fact, this is also a characteristic of Kuyutown. Almost every household has a small yard, and some flowers, plants, and trees are planted in the yard. Sutingyu took out the plastic bag from his pocket. However, when she saw the little red flower, her eyes froze. "Huh? How come there are two flowers?" Obviously she just took a small red flower and put it inside. Why did it turn into two little red flowers now? Could it be that I didn't pay attention just now, and took too much? Sutingyu became a little unsure. "Boss, what's wrong?" The fat man turned around and saw Sutingyu in a daze, so he asked. "Fat man, did I just take a small red flower? Why are there two in this plastic bag now?" The fat man was stunned. "One. Two. Forget it, let little broken flowers come out first." Sutingyu waved his hand and directly summoned 7 small broken flowers. The small broken flowers fell to the ground and quickly arranged neatly. Sutingyu knelt down, took out the 2 small red flowers from the plastic bag, and then placed them in front of the small broken flowers. "Look at this flower. Is there anything strange about it? Little Kanhua, you look at me, I look at you, and then start to get closer. Gilug, gilug, gilug gilug. Grrrrrrrr." Not knowing what happened, the little Kanhua suddenly became a little impatient. The originally closed buds opened directly, and they kept breathing towards the 2 small red flowers. It's like meeting an intruder, and then using your breath to declare your territorial rights. Sutingyu's eyes narrowed. You are saying, there is something wrong with these two little red flowers. As soon as Sutingyu loosened his grip, two small red flowers fell to the ground. And just after Sutingyu let go of his hand, 7 small broken flowers came one after another, trying to swallow these two small red flowers. But at that moment, the originally ordinary little red flower suddenly had sharp teeth that were longer than its size and wanted to bite it back. When we meet on a narrow road, whoever has the loudest mouth wins. In the end, without any surprise, the two little red flowers were swallowed up by two of the small remaining flowers. The little broken flower chewed for a while, and finally swallowed it. This. Sutingyu and the other two people, who had been watching the whole process, stared at each other. Holy crap, there's really something wrong with this flower, Sutingyu said in surprise. Just, at that moment, the teeth that suddenly appeared were, a bit like the teeth of a piranha. The fat man stammered as he spoke. He seemed to remember the first time he saw the evil god flower when he was in the world of ice and fire. This is a not so good memory. Sutingyu became concerned about the condition of the two small broken flowers. After all, would eating an unknown object cause some indigestion? It won't explode, right? Gila gila. Gila gila. 7 little broken flowers began to explain. It turns out that it was the little broken flowers that feasted in the giant's garden before, and now the levels of all the little broken flowers have improved a lot. It is no longer the evil flower it was before. Now, even if they face the monsters in the 7-star dungeon, they are not afraid at all. Not to mention, it is still the same flower and plant monster as myself, and this little red flower is obviously not fully developed yet. Just this little bit is not enough to fill the gap between their teeth. Oh, that's it? Just hope you're alright. After hearing this, Sutingyu immediately felt relieved. There are also flower and plant monsters in this round of dungeons, and it seems that they can reproduce and grow quickly. This ability is something that the little broken flowers do not have. Digression. For details, please refer to an administrator who is struggling to plant the evil god flower in the ice and fire dungeon. The little red flowers are not fully developed now, and the little residual flowers can definitely deal with the former. By the way, will it help you if you eat these little red flowers? Just like the big gray before, when you eat the small broken flowers, it is also said that you can improve your level. On the other hand, if the little residual flowers eat these little red flowers, will they also be able to improve their own strength? Gila gila, of course, master. Gila gila, there are many flower roe deer like them in the air now. These are the seeds they spread for rapid reproduction. Sutingyu was slightly stunned. Roe deer? In the air? Sutingyu looked around, but saw nothing. Gila gila, master, this is something that is difficult to see with the naked eye. Only we, as the same species, can perceive it. If no one stops them, I believe that in a few days, these little red flowers will be able to occupy this place. City. In a few days? In other words, can the current little broken flowers still punish these little red flowers? Sutingyu suddenly felt relieved. But there are already a lot of little red flowers in Dead Leaf Town. Can you solve them? Gila gila, it depends on the situation. If you are full, you still need time to digest it. Sutingyu nodded. Oh, yes. Now we cannot allow these little red flowers to continue to multiply rapidly, otherwise the longer we delay, the more difficult it will be to solve the problem later. Then you go and eat some of the little red flowers first. Eat as much as you can. In this case, the reproduction speed of these small red flowers can also be slowed down. So, Sutingyu sent out his own little broken flowers and began to devour the spreading little red flowers in every corner. When it was time for dinner, Sutingyu took the time to open the panel and found that the ranking on the camp standings had changed a lot. From time to time, you can see a player's points reaching a very high level. but it didn't take long for that person to disappear from the list. Then, another player's ranking will rise rapidly. If someone's ranking disappears or increases, it means that a player has died. It's just, Sutingyu was a little depressed. Since the 4 other world players she met last night, she hadn't met any other world players. Sutingyu looked at the drastically changing rankings on the standings and felt a little curious. Anyone else have such good luck? Many people also have special auxiliary props? Can you meet other players in one fell swoop and grab points? Why didn't she encounter this kind of good luck? Strangeness. How strange. Fatty saw Sutingyu staring at the panel and asked, "Boss, is there anything new about the camp points?" Sutingyu shook his head slightly, "No, it's just that the ranking above has changed too much." As she said that, she sighed again, "Let's face it, we are willing to take the bait, but we can't even catch a fish. This must be really bad luck." The fat man scratched his head. "Being out of touch means there is no danger, shouldn't that be a good thing?" "Well, it's also a good thing for other players. In various corners of Dead Leaf Town, some players have started fighting in various ways after meeting. Players who are no longer strong can only be killed, and then the winner takes away the points. How did you find us?" "No. No, no. We are all players, why bother forcing each other?" A young man pulled out a short sword from a corpse. The blood gushed out onto his face, but he didn't care, and the smile at the corner of his mouth grew wider. "Indeed, we are all players." The young man looked at the only player who was still alive and wanted to escape, and said in a brisk tone, "It's just that, I'm sorry, you and I are not players in the same world. So, please go die." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1011. At this time, outside the house where Sutingyu and Fatty were, 3 sneaky figures stopped. Soon, intermittent conversations came. "There are 2 little red dots in this room. There are only 2, so let's deal with them quickly. The boss's ability should only last for 2 or 3 hours. It's just 2 people. We just need to fight quickly. There are houses nearby. If the NPC is alerted, it will be a little troublesome. Let's sneak in first and attack if we can." "Good idea." The 3 of them easily lurked into this private house. As soon as they entered, they heard a man's voice. "Boss, do you want more fruit?" "I want it." "Another pot?" "Okay, no problem." The 3 of them looked at each other in shock when they heard this. "Take another look at the little red dot on the map." "That's right. A little red dot indeed. The 2 people inside are indeed players. But in this small conversation, there is no sense of disobedience with the NPC. There is no sense of danger or tension at all, just like relaxing at home." In the living room. After Sutingyu finished eating the last strawberry, Lucifer, who was watching a TV series, flew over and tugged at the corner of her clothes. "Someone is coming." Sutingyu's eyes narrowed. Then, after she and Lucifer looked at each other, the latter disappeared. "A player is coming." Sutingyu picked up the phone, entered a text message, and sent it to Fatty. Then, he stretched out on the sofa and said, "Hello, uninvited guests, how long are you going to hide?" Sutingyu's sudden words were shocking, frightening the 3 people who had originally lurked in. How is this going? How could she have discovered us so early? The 3 of them, who were originally very relaxed, immediately became vigilant. However, now that they have been discovered, the 3 of them are no longer secretive. 2 of them revealed their figures, while the other one quickly moved towards the fat man. Sutingyu glanced at it but didn't stop him. Sotingu's eyes fell on the other two people. Seeing Sotingu's indifferent look, the two people who stayed thought that Sotingu and Fatty were just a temporary partner and their friendship was not deep. Therefore, you can watch the other party fall into danger. However, this result is also a good thing for them. There is no need to worry that Sotingu and the two will join forces and defeat them one by one. Sotingu suddenly said, "Are you thinking that actually I have no friendship with that fat man?" Hearing this, the two of them looked at each other, a little confused as to what Sotingu wanted to say. Sotingu continued, "Are you thinking of defeating us one by one? Then knock us out? And finally take away the points." One of the players looked at Sotingu fiercely, "Since you know, be honest and just surrender, and we can give you a happy life." Sotingu couldn't help but sigh. Why do I feel like the tone of voice of these alien players seems to be carved from the same mold? It seems that the players from other worlds were like this last night. The current two alien players are like this again. Is it possible that all players from other worlds are so naive and stupid? Or is it that the quality of this batch of alien players is not good enough? With a sigh in his heart, Sotingu said with an indifferent expression on his face, "Really? Then come and give it a try." This attitude of not taking the two of them seriously is something even a man can't tolerate. After the two looked at each other, they immediately took out their respective game props from the inventory and attacked Sotingu. At this time, Sotingu still had time to mutter, "You shouldn't destroy the house, otherwise, there won't be anywhere to live in for the next few days. Well, I'll look around and see if there's anything useful." "That's it?" Sotingu grabbed inside the storage ring and took out 5 bottles of magic potion. "Then, smash it to the ground." The liquid in the potion bottle immediately vaporized as soon as it came into contact with the air and turned into purple mist, which spread instantly and enveloped the two players. "What's this? Careful." At this time, Sotingu had already taken another bottle of different magic potion and drank it slowly. Even when exposed to the purple mist, Sotingu's face remained very calm. Slowly, the two players felt that their bodies were very heavy. "Poisonous. Take the detoxification pill quickly." The two players reacted very quickly. They immediately took out the antidote pill from the inventory and took it. However, even after taking the antidote pill, the heaviness in my body still did not ease. At this time, Sotingu kindly reminded, "This is not poison, but gravity. Being in this purple mist, you will bear a huge gravity all of a sudden, so you can't even run. Damn it, you despicable villain. If we can, let's challenge each other. Let's challenge each other head on." When Sotingu heard these words, her eyes widened in surprise. Wow, 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 it's obvious that the villain who broke into the house is you, right? If I hadn't exposed you in time, would you have wanted to sneak attack us? Who is the despicable person?" Sotingu's words made the two of them unable to hold back a single word. Sotingu slowly walked towards the two of them and took out the death blade from the inventory. "Because, only this one is relatively sharp. Don't worry, my skills are very good, my hands will never shake, and I will make sure you get out painlessly. And wow, don't thank me too much." Sotingu sharply saw a player's fingertips move, and immediately swung out the death blade, quickly wiping the two people's necks. Villains all die because they talk too much. It is absolutely impossible for the little fairy to make such a mistake. Ah, no. The little fairy is not the villain. After killing these two players, Sotingu instantly gained a lot of points. Seeing the rankings on the list rising steadily, Sotingu was amazed. How many players have the two of them killed? So many points. After taking care of these two players, Sotingu went to the kitchen to check on Fatty's situation. The fat man was already prepared because he had been reminded by Sotingu in advance. After all, as long as it's not like yesterday, most of Fatty's game props will be restricted at once. In addition, the fat man attacked in reverse, and there was no danger, so he knocked out the third player. They are all still lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth and delirious. When the fat man saw Sutinyu coming over, he wiped away the non-existent sweat. "Boss, how should we deal with this person?" Sutinyu took a look and said, "You kill him, and then you can get points, and you can also see the camp standings." The fat man said and hesitated a little. However, thinking of the black tower watching light that Sutinyu had mentioned before, he gritted his teeth and sent the players on the ground directly out of the dungeon. After the player's body disappeared, several game items exploded on the ground. The fat man picked it up without any surprise. However, this scene surprised Sutinyu. "Huh? Can this round of dungeons also explode things? Boss? Don't you know? Every round of dungeon can explode something, as long as the player dies." Sutinyu scratched his head. Is this really the case? Then why did she remember that she had never encountered him before? By the way, boss, there seems to be a probability issue with this. It may not happen every time. However, if it happens 10 times, it should be possible 5 or 6 times. Whoosh! Sutinyu felt as if an arrow had been shot into his heart. What is should? What does it mean to have 5 or 6 times? None of these exist. The little fairy doesn't need such explosive things. The little fairy relies on strength. Boss, do you find it strange? Why are they so sure that we are the players, right here? Could it be that we were recognized during the day? Sutinyu thought about it and found that he had never met the 3 of them during the day. Boss, I feel like we have to leave. If the 3 of them have companions, they may come here if they see that they haven't come back. Suddenly, Sutinyu's eyes lit up. Isn't this great? Let them come here. Isn't this the same as our previous plan? Those who wish will take the bait. Now is the perfect time. Sutinyu rubbed his hands. It's best. There are dozens or hundreds of their companions. Come all together. The fat man was a little dumbfounded. These are enough, right? Why would the boss think of dozens? Hundreds of? Will it really be possible to deal with it then? The fat man expressed some worries, but after seeing Sutinyu's confident state, he finally chose to believe it. Anyway, I believe it. That's right. Fat man, your camp standings are now open. Where are you ranked? Let me see. Not far away, inside a rental house. Huh? That's weird. Why did the red dots belonging to those 3 guys disappear? The red dots closest to them are these 2, that's interesting. Couldn't they have been counter-killed? These 3 useless trash. The boy took out a tissue and wiped the blood on his face. Then, he took out another piece of chewing gum from his pocket, put it in his mouth and chewed it. The sweetness emanating from the chewing gum made the boy feel better, and it seemed to reduce the smell of blood in the air. After all, it's a bit embarrassing to be killed so easily by someone who is one of our own. Besides, those 3 guys seem to have a lot of points. It seems a bit of a loss to give them to outsiders like this. The young man looked troubled, but at this moment he was already walking towards the door, ready to leave the rental house. At this time, Sutinyu and the 2 of them, who were still unaware, continued to stay in the house. The fat man began to take out the cleaning tools and clean the marks on the ground. And Lucifer continued to watch his TV series. In order to supervise Lucifer's computer use time, Sutinyu also sat aside and watched TV series. Little Susu, why are they spinning in circles? At this time, Lucifer saw the people in the TV series dancing on the ball. Sutinyu glanced casually. Oh, this is a waltz, it seems to be from those foreign dances. Sutinyu is also a singer after all, and he is somewhat knowledgeable about music. Little Susu, can you jump? Lucifer opened his eyes wide, like a curious baby. Sutingyu raised her eyebrows slightly. What? Are you curious? It's a little bit, I want to see a real person dance. Ah, this, although Sutingyu is a singer, in fact, she is a dance fanatic. When we dance, we always have the same hands and feet. Ahem, cough, cough, let's talk about it when the time comes, when the time comes. When the time comes, I'll find someone to dance for you. Sutingyu just wanted to fool him quickly. Fortunately, Lucifer always asks about something new in TV series every time he sees it. However, it will be forgotten afterwards. Therefore, Sutingyu is also easy to kill. Oh, don't forget it. Lucifer continued to watch his TV series. Sutingyu reached over and rubbed Lucifer's little head. Then, she looked out the window of the living room. Sutingyu paused for a moment, then stood up and walked towards the door. After Sutingyu opened the door, he turned around and closed the door again. Alas! I'm sorry. Did I disturb you? A few meters away from the door, stood a handsome young man. He put his hands in his pockets and blew out a bubble. With a bang, the bubble burst. Little sister, let's play together. No, I'm a younger sister. Don't take advantage of me. I'm obviously younger than you, Sutingyu said confidently due to his outstanding height. Hearing this, the young man's face stiffened slightly, and his eyes became a little dull. It seemed that he did not expect that there were girls who could be completely immune to his sunny and youthful face. The boy naturally changed his mind. Then, little sister, would you like to come and play with your brother? Unexpectedly, Sutingyu shook her head again. No, mommy said that little fairies can't play with strangers. The young man's newly revealed smile disappeared from the corner of his mouth again. The feeling of eating turtle twice in a row. Ah! Boss, help me. They are so scary. Oh my God. Suddenly, the fat man's screams came from inside the house. The young man also heard it, and immediately, a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Little sister, aren't you worried about your companions? Now that he knew that Sutingyu and the others had eliminated 3 companions, adhering to the principle of revenge for his companions, the young man naturally could not just let himself come, and also call other people nearby. Oh, I'm worried. Sutingyu replied in a very calm tone. Sutingyu looked at the young man's thin arms and legs, his tall and slender figure, and suddenly said inexplicably, "Can you dance the waltz?" The young man's face was confused for a moment. Where is this? Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1012. If you can dance, then I can consider it. I will support you for a while. Hearing Sutingyu's shameless speech, the young man couldn't help himself. Really? Let's see who can't spare whom. The meteor rod appeared in Sutingyu's hand, and just when he was about to take his legs out, the young man said in a light tone, "I advise you not to move. If something happens, it's none of my business." Sutingyu paused and looked at the ground with feeling. It was dark at this time, there were no lights nearby, and the ground looked a little dark. However, Sutingyu squinted his eyes and stared at the ground carefully for a while, and suddenly found that the color of the ground seemed to have changed. Originally, it was the color of normal black soil, but now, it turned out to be a touch of green in the black. The grass and flowers on the green land were all withered, and even some of the passing ants died in large pieces. Not only that, the green land area is still spreading outward. The direction of the spread was towards Sutingyu. Seeing this, Sutingyu quickly took a few steps back, and subconsciously began to look for the source of the green land. She quickly aimed at the solace of the boy's feet. "Is this something you made? Have you noticed it now?" It's too late. There was a bit of arrogance in the young man's laughter. The more Sutingyu listened to this laughter, the more uncomfortable he felt. This entire ground has mutated. Be careful, little sister. If you are accidentally poisoned, I don't have an antidote. The young man's smile was still so bright and sunny, but it was not difficult to hear the malice contained in it. Who would have thought that this young man with the appearance of a good student would have a professional talent related to toxins? The most harmless things are often the most dangerous. Even though Sutinyu had not completely touched the ground that was soaked with toxins, during the conversation just now, her body had actually absorbed some weak toxins. But it hasn't happened yet. Sutinyu also thought of this and immediately drank 2 bottles of magic potion specially used to detoxify. Little dwarf, it's not good to play drugs at such a young age. Taking advantage of his recent height advantage, Sutinyu looked at the boy who was less than 1.7 meters in front of him with a smile. The young man's face stiffened. Should I call you sister? Or should I call you sister? Why are you so fickle? Oh, you can call me little fairy, little dwarf brother. Young man, Gan. What a humming personal attack. I can't bear it. The boy continued to use his natural abilities and launched a silent attack. Only a minute later, Sutinyu looked calm and swung the meteor stick over. 2 minutes later, Sutinyu was still alive and kicking, chasing the boy. The young man also tried to use direct attack props, but all the methods were directly resolved by Sutinyu. What a humming freak. Damn the little fairy, this is simply a strange and powerful girl. The young man complained in his mind. However, the young man is also quite confident and calm. Because he believed in his own talent very much, and he had never failed before. Moreover, the longer Sutinyu jumps around, the faster she will be poisoned, and she will suffer a lot when the time comes. Ran goose. 3 minutes later, Sutinyu was not rolling on the floor in pain like the others, and had time to drink a few bottles of antidote magic potion. 5 minutes later, the young man couldn't believe it. Why didn't his toxin work on Sutinyu? This is impossible. Etc. The stuff this female player has been drinking. The young man didn't pay attention before. When he dealt with other players before, others didn't think of detoxification. However, no matter how good the detoxification tools are, they can only cure the poison temporarily. And his innate ability allows him to emit poison anytime, anywhere, all the time. In other words, if you detoxify 1 second, you will immediately ingest new toxins the next second. If you want to continue to quarrel with the boy, you will need to consume a lot of antidote items, which will seem like a loss. However, Sutinyu seemed to have drank more than 20 bottles of magic potion in just a few minutes. Does this person have so many detoxification tools? There's no end to it. Wait a moment. The young man felt that he could not continue to be entangled like this, so he could only use another plan. Sutinyu pouted, what are you waiting for? Do you dare not confront the little fairy? Do you admit that you are a dwarf? The boy's head was buzzing. I dare not hit myself and admit that I am a dwarf. Are these two things related? Wait a minute, have you forgotten your companion? The young man threatened directly, counting the time. Your companion should be in the hands of my people. Are you sure you don't care about his life or death? At this time, the fat man's screams came out of the house very cooperatively. Ah, it's so scary. Don't come here. Please let me go. It's too scary, I want to leave this dungeon. Boss, help me quickly. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. At this time, in the room, Lucifer opened his mouth slightly in surprise, staring blankly at the fat man's performance full of emotion. From time to time, the fat man stood up and walked quickly in place, imitating the sound of running footsteps. Then, some stools and chairs were deliberately knocked over, making some very strong impact sounds. That's not enough, the fat man also used the corpses on the ground. Lucifer stared at the scene blankly, even the straw in his mouth was exposed. Etc. This scene. Lucifer inexplicably remembered the cat and mouse he had seen before. There is an episode in which Tom and Jerry seem, almost, to act through walls like this. Lucifer's golden eyes lit up. Fatty, so awesome. So good at playing. He wants to play too. So. The two people outside saw with their own eyes that the whole room seemed to shake twice. The expressions of both of them changed. Sutingyu, I just asked Fatty to act for a while, but I didn't say that he should be so involved in the acting. Teenager, those trash guys inside, what are they doing? The reason for making such a big noise is that you want others to notice it? Sutingyu glanced out of the corner of his eye, caught the young man's dazed moment, and made a quick sneak attack. The young man reacted and was about to dodge, but a pressure that came from nowhere directly imprisoned his legs, making him unable to move. Boom! The young man was knocked unconscious by Sutingyu. It's over. Before the boy fainted, these two words came to mind. When the young man woke up faintly, he found that he was still in the copy. Hello, Sutingyu greeted in a friendly manner. Hello, the fat man followed suit and said hello. The boy's eyes widened. You. Suddenly, the young man became dejected. What else can't be understood about this? Those losers can't even handle a fat man. The young man looked at Sutingyu. Why don't you kill me? Let's dance a waltz, and I might consider letting you go, Sutingyu said sincerely, blinking his big eyes. The young man's eyes rolled slightly, and his face became gentle and harmless again. But sister, I can't do it. Sutingyu looked at him with this look, as pitiful as he could be. However, Sutingyu felt a bit greasy. That's it? Still acting pitiful? You know, she is a master at pretending to be pitiful and innocent. Sutingyu had a cold face and was unmoved. No, hurry up. Otherwise, I will kill you right now. The young man felt that the oppressive feeling of death still existed. He had no choice but to submit humbly. Sister, I have indeed never skipped. Oh, then this is easy to handle. Sutingyu took out her tablet, searched for a waltz dance video, and showed it to the boy. Then just click on the top of the video to jump. It's very simple. Here's Ollie. The young man took the tablet with a stiff face and kept roaring in his heart. However, he still had to look pitiful and innocent on his face, and even gave Sutingyu a small wink. Well, since it is my sister's wish, then even if I don't know how, I will definitely try my best to fulfill it. Before Sutingyu could say anything, Lucifer, who was sitting on her shoulder, had already keenly sensed something was wrong, wrinkled his nose and said, Xiao Susu, this person is very green tea. He is very similar to the mistresses in the TV series I have watched. The methods they use and the tone of voice are exactly the same. Don't be fooled. Sutingyu, What green tea? What mistress? Is this kid being poisoned by those TV shows? I know, don't worry, just watch your waltz. Sutingyu touched her nose, then silently took a few steps away from the boy. Little fairies don't pretend to be pitiful. The little fairy is not green tea, let alone a mistress. The young man practiced hard for half an hour, and finally managed to dance for a while. It's just that it's not professional after all. Lucifer got tired of watching it for a while and expressed that he was no longer interested. Oh, okay then. Sutingyu glanced at the fat man. After receiving the instruction, the fat man helped the young man close his eyes under his frightened and angry gaze. After the boy's body disappeared, some game items dropped out. Sutingyu selectively ignored what he said at the beginning and began to look at these game items. Anyway, the little fairy just said she would consider it, but didn't really agree. Moreover, it was not the little fairy who did it. This doesn't mean talking without keeping your word. Wow. Fatty, your explosion rate is pretty good. Hee, it's okay. Hey, it seems like there is something good. At the same time. On a certain main road. How many did you kill? It's just so-so. There are only 17 of them. The main reason is that those other world players are too weak. That's not bad. I killed 20 of them. 2 players in the same world are sharing their respective gains. At this time, the 2 noticed a passerby who suddenly fell down in front of them. The man fell down. Would you like to go over and take a look? What if it's a player? Maybe we can pick something up. Let's go and have a look. The 2 pretended to be passers-by and walked towards the man lying on the ground. I saw the man falling to the ground, his body still twitching. Within a distance of 2 meters, the 2 players secretly checked, but did not find any information. What? It's just an NPC. I thought I could get points, it's a waste of expressions. Let's go. After confirming that the person on the ground was not a player, the 2 of them lost interest and thought about leaving. But the moment the 2 turned around, the man who had fallen on the ground suddenly stood up and rushed towards the 2 players as quickly as possible. Boom! A faint white light emitted from one of the players, sending the man flying several meters. And a game item in the player's inventory also shattered. The player's expression suddenly changed and he turned around immediately. Ho! Don't go, come and stay with me, don't go. You bitch! Do you want to have sex with me? Really? I'll beat you to death, you little bastard. The NPC man seemed drunk. He mistook the 2 players in front of him and kept saying nonsense. Damn, he's just a drunkard, and he wasted one of my props. Be careful, there seems to be something wrong with him. The man continued to roar, like a mad dog, you all go to hell. Go to hell. Just as the 2 players were about to attack the man, a police car drove over and several police officers got out of it. Don't move. Don't even move. We are police officers. We advise you all to stay still and accept the investigation. Seeing this scene, the 2 players had no choice but to pretend to be innocent. Mr. Police, what did we 2 do? Yes, we were just walking on the road. We saw someone fall and wanted to check it out. But this person wanted to attack us without saying a word. The crazy man was shocked by the police with an electric baton and fainted. If you want anything, come back to the police station with us first. One of the police officers looked at the 2 players with a firm attitude. This. Forget it. The 2 players looked at each other and then looked at the police officers politely. Okay, we promise to cooperate. Copy. On the 3rd day. Morning. Sutinha got up and had breakfast with the fat man. Lucifer also got up on time and turned on the TV as soon as he woke up. A morning news broadcast on TV. Recently, many unknown cases of patients have appeared in various areas of this town. This disease is similar to rabies. The patient will gradually lose his mind, fall to the ground and convulse. The most painful things in the memory or the deepest desires will be magnified countless times, making the patient unable to bear it and can only vent through words and body. Currently, there have been 350 cases, and the number is still increasing, and the source of infection and transmission route are still under further investigation. Townshippers are requested to stay calm, go out as little as possible, keep a certain distance between interactions with others, and always pay attention to people with abnormal behavior. Once a new case is discovered, please call the emergency hotline immediately and contact medical staff. Lucifer quickly changed the channel and continued watching his favorite cat and mouse. Sutinha blinked her big eyes, and she looked at the fat man. The experience of multiple rounds of dungeons told the 2 of them that this news was likely to be a signal for the dungeon to be released. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1013. After breakfast, Sutinha and Fatty went out. The 2 of them split up and continued to collect information. For the sake of Fatty's safety, Sutinha asked Lucifer to follow Fatty. In front of an intersection, Sutinha waited boredly for the traffic light. There were many cars on the road, so Sutingyu lowered her head and played with her phone for a while. But when she looked up, she saw a figure on the side of the road opposite. "Kikai," Sutingyu shouted with surprise on his face. Sutingyu ran across the road. The next second the red light ended. When Qin heard Sutingyu's voice, he turned around and saw this scene. He originally planned to leave, but returned to the intersection to pick up people. When I received the person, although I was very happy in my heart, I couldn't help but say, "Be careful." Okay. The green light behind Sutingyu turned into a red light, but she didn't pay attention. Her two big eyes looked at Qin in front of her. "Kikai, I used the liaison machine to contact you before, but the contact was not successful. What happened to you?" Qin expression remained unchanged. "It's okay." "Ah. Is everything okay?" Sutingyu didn't believe it because he couldn't be contacted. And the possibility of not being able to contact. "When I first came here, I was outside Dead Leaf Town. Maybe, it was for this reason." Qin thought of a reason. Sutingyu immediately dismissed the possibilities in her mind and did not doubt Qin's words. "Oh. Outside. Can players go outside this round?" "Not very clear." Qin lied without blinking. Sutingyu held Qin's hand and said with a smile, "Never mind, Fatty and I have roughly judged the source of danger in this round of dungeons. It's this little red flower." Sutingyu pointed to the little red flowers that could be seen everywhere now. "Do you remember the evil god flower? It's similar to this little red flower, but the latter has a stronger reproductive ability." Sutingyu and Qin analyzed it, but when they saw the latter, he didn't look very surprised, so he asked, "Kikai, you should have noticed it too." "Well, it's the third day of the dungeon, and even the NPCs have noticed the abnormality, let alone the players." Qin Theo. "That's right. When I went out this morning, I saw the news on TV, saying that there were some sick patients in the town. I suspected that it might be related to Xiaohonghua." Sutingyu guessed. "Kikai, do you smell anything?" "It's the smell of pollen in the air. It seems to be getting stronger." Sutingyu covered her nose and said, "Let's leave here first and then talk." Qin didn't know what he was thinking of, and his tone was a little low. At this moment, not far from the two, a car suddenly lost control and crashed directly into another car. Then, a series of car accidents started. Bump bump. The air was filled with strong pollen. Many passers-by who had inhaled the pollen could not stop coughing, and some even retched. The car accident here quickly attracted the attention of the nearby traffic police. A traffic policeman immediately came to the scene of the crime, looking for anyone alive in the car. When he opened a car door, a person suddenly jumped out of the car and threw him to the ground. The traffic policeman was caught off guard and was thrown to the ground. He tried to stand up, but was severely suppressed by the other party, so he could only try to reason. "Sir, what are you doing? Don't get too excited, stay calm." "Ah, you, why are you still biting?" The traffic policeman was bitten on the neck by the other party, and the man had completely lost his mind now, like a mad dog, biting people indiscriminately when he saw him. Then, he swallowed the bitten flesh, with bright red blood, into his mouth. Everyone around was shocked. Soon, several people came to rescue the traffic policeman. At this moment, a few more people emerged from the cars that had been involved in the car accident. Those people have all become lunatics who have lost their minds, shouting crazy words. "Don't leave me, don't leave me. Mom, I never dare to steal your money again. Please spare me. I'll beat you to death, you lose money. I'll beat you to death, you lose money, why don't you die?" Those who came out began to stalk the innocent people nearby, or use fists and kicks. "They are sick. Quick, quick, stay away from them, don't get infected." At this time, someone remembered the official notice issued early this morning. For a moment, he connected with the scene in front of him. At this time, the streets were in chaos. Some passers-by who were weak and had inhaled a large amount of pollen had completely passed out. Seeing that the situation became more serious, at this time, the sound of a police car was heard in the distance. Diddy beep. When the police car stopped, police officers wearing gas masks rushed down one by one and took away all those who were going crazy or had fainted on the ground. If anyone is uncooperative, they will take out the electric baton and stun the person before dealing with it. Kikai Sutingyu looked at Qin-Chi, his eyes a little more dignified. It seems that this situation has seriously affected the social order of the town. Qin-Chi said calmly, "Let's go first." Oh well. Seeing that all those who had lost their minds were taken away, the two of them left the area immediately. After the surrounding area was safe, Qin-Chi asked, "How many camp points do you have?" "Well, not many, because we can't find anyone." Sutingyu was a little troubled. As other players gained more and more points, Sutingyu was about to be kicked off the list. If it hadn't been for the volunteer plan last night and caught some people, Sutingyu might not be on the list now. "Sutingyu, Kikai, where's yours? I don't seem to see your name on the list." Hearing this, Qin-Chi's eyes flashed, "I haven't met anyone either." "Ah, then we are almost as lucky." Sutingyu had no doubt that he was there. At this time, Sutingyu's contact phone suddenly received a text message. "Boss, come here quickly, there are many players here, all from other worlds. They are gathered together, as if they are plotting something." Sutingyu, Sutingyu felt that she had read the wrong information. A second ago, she was complaining about how few players she met. The next second, Fatty brought her a big surprise. "Send me your location and I'll go there immediately." Sutingyu quickly replied. "Okay, boss." Sutingyu immediately shared the good news with Qin-Chi. "Kikai, let's go earn points." "Good." Snooker club. 3rd floor, men's restroom. After Fatty got Sutingyu's assurance, he felt a little more at ease. Lucifer was sitting on the fat man's shoulder. The latter was supporting his chin with one hand. He didn't understand why the fat man was hiding him. "Fat man, actually we can go kill everyone outside." When the fat man heard this, he felt a little numb. Let's wait for the big boss to come." Although Sutingyu had always said that Lucifer was very powerful, and last night, Lucifer himself secretly killed many of the players who wanted to attack them. However, there are indeed too many players in this club right now, there are hundreds of them. If there were only a few players, with Lucifer by his side, Fatty could boldly earn some points. But there were hundreds of people, Fatty had no idea at all. If Lucifer had to take action himself, all the points would be counted on Sutingyu. In case there are game props among these players that can restrain Lucifer, it would be too dangerous to expose Lucifer rashly like this. Therefore, Fatty informed Sutingyu and let the latter make the decision. "Then when will little Susu come?" Lucifer asked. "It should be soon." After the fat man stayed in the toilet for more than 10 minutes, he received a text message from Sutingyu. "Fat man, I'm already outside the club entrance." The fat man quickly typed and sent it. "Okay, boss, you have to be careful, this entire club is probably reserved by them. I am in the toilet on the 3rd floor now." Sutingyu, "Okay, I'll come up to you later." "Wait a minute. The boss really wants to." The fat man blinked his eyes sluggishly and immediately typed, "Boss, are you really going to kill hundreds of other world players in the club?" Sutingyu, "Otherwise." Fatty, "Okay, boss, I support you mentally." 2nd floor, lobby. Several hundred people form two distinct groups. A man with glasses looked at a muscular man opposite and said, "How is it? How do you think about it? Do you want to work together? We are all players in the same world, so we should help each other." The muscular man snorted coldly. "That being said, why should I believe you? Your kid even tricked me last time. The last time was the last time. Now, we must be united to the outside world, and we cannot be defeated one by players from other worlds, right? Humph, do you still have credibility in your words? The muscular man looked disdainful. The man with glasses sighed and said the solution. Let's do this. I will place 5 blue mysterious grade props with you, and the panel system will serve as a notarization. If I breach the contract, all 5 blue mysterious game items will belong to you. If I keep my word, promise, the 5 blue mysterious grade props will be returned to their original owners. How about that? 5 pieces. The muscular man's eyes were obviously moved. Moreover, with the notarization of the panel system, there is no need to worry about the other party going back on their word. While the two parties were discussing, in a corner, the invisible Sutinyu was quietly watching everything. After the glasses man and the muscular man over there made an agreement with each other, the atmosphere of stalemate and vigilance between the two parties eased. After the stalemate ceased, the two sides began to discuss plans for other players from other worlds. In the hall, the air conditioner was turned on, blowing out bursts of cool breeze. Sutinyu stood under the wind vents and quietly opened a bottle of magic potion. The powdery crystal substance contained in it floated in the air with the wind, and was inhaled into the noses of unsuspecting players from other worlds. At this time, an NPC male waiter in the club brought the drinks and distributed them to all the other world players. The muscular man called the waiter, "You go down, there's no need to deliver anymore, and don't let other irrelevant people come up." "Okay," the waiter replied with his head lowered, then turned and left. Sutinyu estimated the time, and after waiting for almost 20 minutes, the effects of the medicine began to take effect on a player from another world. "Hiss, it's so cold, I can't stand it anymore, I'm a little sleepy." "I'm a little sleepy too." 1, 2, 3, one after another, people fell unconscious and fell to the ground. The sudden situation also caught others off guard. The bespectacled man suddenly looked at a gem-like accessory in his inventory. This is a warning prop. If it suffers from any bad condition, the gem will turn from white to red. At this time, the entire gem had turned blood red. The bespectacled man's face changed drastically and he shouted, "No! There is poison nearby. Use antidote items quickly." But the next second, some huge vines suddenly appeared from all directions, entangled the hands and feet of each player, and then tossed the players around like throwing garbage. "What are these? What monster?" In an instant, more than half of the originally more than 400 players had fallen. Among the remaining half of the players, there are only dozens of players who have used various game items that can relieve or alleviate the bad status in time, and the current status is barely better. Isn't this the alien species of this round of copies? A mutant of Little Red Flower. They are all plants, and there are so many of them suddenly appearing. Players from other worlds present naturally think of the Little Red Flower, which is also a plant. As a result, the Little Red Flower who had no idea took the blame inexplicably. After the muscular man used a game prop, he calmed down and said, "Be careful." Sutinyu looked at the scene secretly and frowned. Sure enough, there are still some powerful players among them, so there is no way to do it all at once. There are dozens of people here. Although they have been tricked by me, there is no guarantee that they will not hide any powerful game props. Sutinyu thought for a while, and besides being hypnotized by her own singing, it was the safest way to let Lucifer take action. In fact, Sutinyu had another way, and that was to use magic potion. However, Sutinyu only had mid-level magic potions on hand. He had just used them all, so he couldn't catch them all at once. He only had high-level magic potions. But the problem is that Sutinyu doesn't have time to refine it now. Before entering the dungeon, she only refined the high-level disguise potion. Before these alien players realized something was wrong, Sutinyu communicated with Lucifer through the death blade in his inventory. Lulu, knock out the remaining people, okay. Ken. After Sutinyu received Lucifer's reply, he counted silently in his mind. When the count reached the 10th second, the players from the other world who had been fighting back and forth with the little Kenhuas felt as if they had suddenly received a heavy blow on their chests, and blood vomited out of their mouths. Finally, he rolled his eyes and fainted. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1014. Sutinyu also saw a few people who were not fainted, so he quietly came to those people, took out the falling stick, and knocked them out like a gopher. You, who are you? Damn it, there are players. However, when Sutinyu wanted to hit the glasses man and the muscular man, he felt that his attack was blocked by something, but the latter did not faint. It was also because of this mistake that the two men realized that a player was tampering with them. Sir? What happened to you? Just when Sutinyu was about to take action again, the male waiter who had left appeared again. The waiter's eyes were shocked, as if he had thought of something, and he hurriedly ran to the glasses man and the muscular man. You have made a mess in the club, this chair, this table, you have to pay for these. And these weird vines, how did you get them? Take them away quickly. Since the male waiter appeared, the vines that were whipping the players suddenly became quiet. The rest of the players were also a bit wary and did not dare to expose their abnormalities in front of the NPC. The male waiter's chattering tone gave the man with glasses a headache, and there was a hint of murderous intent in the latter's eyes. It's better to just kill him, anyway, it's just an NPC. The bespectacled man hooked his hand at the waiter and said, Come here, how much does it cost, and I'll pay it to your club. The waiter walked over as instructed and kept saying, You can't run away, you have to pay back. The bespectacled man had his hands behind his back and was about to take out a dagger from his inventory. A distant and polite smile appeared on his face. Don't worry, I will compensate. The next second, only a pop was heard. The flesh and blood body was penetrated by the sword, bringing out a large amount of blood and sprinkling it on the carpet. You are. The man with glasses widened his eyes, and the glasses on his face fell to the ground and broke into several pieces. The bespectacled man let go of his hand, and the dagger fell to the ground before he could use it. At this time, the male waiter who was still chattering suddenly became unusually cold. With a little force on his wrist, the long sword in his hand was pulled out bit by bit from the bespectacled man's body. The latter's entire body had no support and fell to the ground. Damn it! It turns out you did it. When the muscular man saw this scene, he was very angry and hurried away from the waiter. But this also made him ignore the enemy who was originally invisible. Sutinyu seized the opportunity, went around behind the muscular man again, and stabbed him in the back. This time, Sutinyu used the death blade to directly pierce the muscular man's defensive props and kill the latter. Boss! I'll fight you! The remaining players were knocked unconscious and subdued one by Sutinyu. After everything was over, Sutinyu turned to look at the male waiter. The latter's face began to change, and slowly returned to its original appearance. Kikai, your acting skills are pretty good. Sutinyu blinked her big eyes. Chin-Chi came over and touched Sutinyu's head. It's because your potion is so powerful. Hee. Looking at the points all over the floor, Sutinyu quickly used the phone to contact Fatty. Fatty, come here quickly, let's cut leeks. After the fat man arrived, the three of them began to enjoy the harvest session. Boss, I just want these heads. I can't help you much. No. Fatty, your explosion rate is good, if you want a few more heads. Oh well. At the same time, many players are observing every move on the list. but suddenly, on the personal combat power list with 400 positions, nearly half of the player nicknames disappeared completely and were replaced by other unfamiliar game nicknames. Such a big change naturally attracted the attention of many players. At this time, a notice popped up on all players' panels. The top 5 players on the personal power list of this round's copy of Alien Invasion have reached the standard value in total points, and the panel barrage function of this round's copy is now enabled. Panel barrage function: players in this round can send barrage messages on the same list interface, but normal one-on-one chats are not possible. The barrage messages will regularly clear the previous batch of barrage messages to avoid barrage traffic congestion pressure accident. As soon as the strange barrage function came out, a large number of players rushed in. Holy shit, there are so many tricks in this round of copies. The humming barrage traffic jam made me laugh. Wow, aliens, hello to you. I have grown up and this is the first time I have seen aliens. I am so excited. Depend on, could you please talk about something serious? What happened to the changes on that list? More than 200 players all fell off that list at once. This is too scary. Could it be that the group was wiped out? Impossible, maybe it's just a coincidence. Look, you see, that Angel Su and the one named Chin Chi, one of these two people originally had very low points, and the other didn't appear on the list at all. Now they suddenly appear, and their points, lots of thieves, directly into the top 20, could this be relevant? I just calculated the points of the players who fell off the list, as well as the extra points of the two of them. There is a 92.55% probability that it is them. After a brief period of curiosity, most of the players began to guess the identities of Sutingyu and Chin Chi. On the personal combat power list, in addition to the game nickname, players can freely choose to hide their world camp. Most players chose to hide, and only a few players openly exposed themselves. Sutingyu and Chin Chi also chose to hide. Only the blue star players who knew about it were already shouting "Big Boss is awesome" in private. A strange atmosphere formed on the barrage. Players from several worlds who obviously met in the dungeon and were fighting to the death were now guessing the identities of the two people in a very harmonious manner on the barrage. You said every word and I said it plausibly. What is Angel Su's background? There is no such person in RZ world. Can any players in the same world introduce him to him? Chin Chi, nor are we from Y world. In the end, players from the 5 worlds spoke out one after another, saying that they were not players from their own world. Damn, Grandma is a bear. Which world is she a player in? So insidious, just hiding this. I think it must be the players from World Z. They were the first to say it. They probably want us to get the impression first. If anyone reveals it, I will give him a blue mysterious grade game prop for free. You can come to me in Zinken Street. I want, they are players in RG world. Don't listen to the people above. Angel Su and Chin Chi are not from RG world at all. In a certain coffee shop, Siepwea watched the barrage on the panel turn into a pot of porridge and took a calm sip of coffee. On his panel barrage, there was a barrage marked in yellow, which was different from the other blue barrage. And the words on that barrage were clearly, I want, they are players in RG world. Oh, dead fish is now famous to an extraterrestrial level, tisk tisk. At this time, Sutingyu and the other two people, who caused a lot of discussion on the panel barrage, cleaned up the traces on the second floor of the club and sneaked away. After coming out, Sutingyu touched his stomach. Kikai, I'm hungry, let's go eat. Chin Chi nodded, yes. By the way, let's pack some food and go back. I feel like the town will be locked down tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, Fatty added. So, Sutingyu enthusiastically studied where to eat. It feels pretty good here. Sutingyu watched the fat man take out his cell phone and search for a hotel online. The fat man said, Boss, this store has all good reviews online. We can give it a try. Sutingyu turned to look at Chin Chi. Kikai, what do you think? Just this one. Chin Chi had no objection. 20 minutes later, Sutingyu and the other three arrived in front of the Haitian hotel. But when Sutingyu and the others entered, they suddenly heard a voice that was mixed with surprise and anger. "Monica! You're here." The smile on Sutingyu's face disappeared immediately. "Damn it! I actually met Mike here." Mike came angrily and asked. "Monica, I finally found you. Why didn't you come back to me that night? Also, where have you been these days?" Mike immediately noticed Chin-Chi next to Sutingyu. Taller than him, more handsome than him, and seems to have a slightly better temperament than him. Damn it! Coupled with the fact that Sutingyu were so close, Mike's thoughts suddenly went wrong. He felt like he was being cuckolded, and his anger was rising. "Tell me. Who is this person? Where did you find this pretty boy? You haven't seen me these past few days, just hanging out with this pretty boy. Do you still take me as your boyfriend seriously?" Just as Sutingyu was about to say something, she heard Chin-Chi next to her ask in a low voice, "Huh? Boyfriend?" Even though Chin-Chi's tone seemed to be no different from usual, Sutingyu had an intuition. She felt a sense of crisis. At the moment, Sutingyu didn't care about Mike and quickly explained to Chin-Chi, "It's just an identity, it's just an identity." Because Mike is here, it's hard for Sutingyu to explain things too clearly. What Sutingyu wanted to say was that this was all because of the identity assigned to her in the dungeon, and she had not really found a boyfriend in the dungeon. However, when Mike heard Sutingyu's words, he thought that the latter was announcing his change of status as the rightful owner. At that moment, Mike gave Chin-Chi an arrogant and proud look. "Did you hear that? I'm her boyfriend. You stay away from my girlfriend." Ha! This time, Chin-Chi sneered directly, "Girlfriend? Sutingyu. I didn't, it wasn't what I said." Sutingyu felt guilty inexplicably. But she didn't know why she felt guilty. So, Sutingyu had no choice but to vent all her grievances on Mike. "What did you say? Do I know you? Can you please stop slandering others with your mouth? I don't have a boyfriend." Now, it was Mike's turn to be a little confused. "No. Monica, do you want to turn your back on me? You know, you eloped abroad with me and came here, and you also said that you would stay with me forever together." Sutingyu really wanted to gag Mike's mouth. At this time, Sutingyu no longer dared to look at Chin-Chi's face. Sutingyu put her hands on her hips and said angrily, "You have recognized the wrong person. I am not your elopement partner. Besides, my taste is not that bad. Look at your sharp mouth and monkey cheeks. You look like a softie. Even if I am blind, I will not fall in love with you." Mike is angry. Although, he just eats soft food. But if Sutingyu said it to his face, he also wanted to save face. Especially the few remarks made by Mike just now have attracted nearby passers-by, and now they all stopped in place to eat melons. "Is it him?" Mike pointed at Chin-Chi. When Sutingyu saw this, he immediately blocked Chin-Chi's path. When Mike saw Sutingyu's behavior, he became even more angry. "Okay. You're a frivolous woman. I shouldn't believe your lies. You said you love me the most in this life, it turns out it's all a lie. You have the nerve to say that." Sutingyu snorted coldly and began to complain for Monica. "If you hadn't deliberately lied to me, how could I have run away from home and had conflicts with my parents? You said you would take care of me after you go abroad, but I paid for all the transportation, accommodation, travel expenses, etc., even your clothes, watches, and shoes, which of them didn't cost me money?" Mike's face turned red instantly. You're talking nonsense. Moreover, you spent my money and didn't even disclose your own family information. Why do you still say that you are my boyfriend? Bah! You are just a liar. I don't care about you, but now you are causing trouble for me and my friends. Believe it or not, I will call the police to arrest you now. Sutinyu finished speaking in one breath, feeling quite relieved. Wow, no, is this man really that disgusting? He actually tricked that girl into supporting him as a father and mother all the time. Then it's no wonder that other girls leave him. The onlookers couldn't help but sigh a few times after eating such a shocking melon. When Mike heard the people around him pointing fingers at him, he immediately became angry. Who are you? A frivolous woman, just a piece of shit. Are you tired of playing with me now? Then you found other men. Hey, brother, please listen to my advice. You don't want this woman. She's so mean. She used to pester me like a pug, but now she just turns her back on her. You'd better get rid of her as soon as possible. Finally, Mike deliberately disgusted Sutinyu and Qin-Chi. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 1015. Qin-Chi directly raised his hand and grabbed Mike's shoulder. It seemed like he didn't use any strength, but the latter just screamed out, "Ah! Let go! I'm hitting someone! Help! Kikai!" Qin-Chi didn't look at Sutinyu, but looked at the fat man, and said in a calm tone, "You go ahead and make reservations and order food. I'll be here in a minute." "Oh, okay, brother Qin." After working on the background board for so long, the fat man could finally say a word. After Qin-Chi said this, he dragged Mike out of the hotel door. Sutinyu looked at the two people's backs and hesitated whether to follow them. At this time, the fat man raised his hand to wipe away the non-existent sweat and said, "Boss, how about we go and book a location first, and then wait for brother Qin to come over?" "Oh, okay then." Sutinyu was a little timid thinking about Qin-Chi's expression and attitude just now, so she agreed with the fat man's words. Mike, who was brought out, was a little shocked at first, but soon began to struggle. However, Qin-Chi's palm on his shoulder remained motionless, like an iron pliers. Qin-Chi pulled the person into a deserted alley before throwing him away. Mike almost hit the wall due to his inertia. When he was finally free, he roared at Qin-Chi, "What are you doing? Stay away from her!" Qin-Chi knew that this was just an NPC and he shouldn't care too much. But Mike thought Qin-Chi was provoking him. "No way, brother, for that kind of woman, if you still defend her, aren't you just?" Before Mike could say anything else, Qin-Chi punched the former in the abdomen without any warning. "Ah!" Mike screamed suddenly and his body arched up. Qin-Chi clasped Mike's throat with one hand, a cold look in his eyes, and pushed the latter against the wall. The back of Mike's head hit the wall violently, causing a feeling of dizziness. Before Mike could react, Qin-Chi's cold voice sounded in his ears, "From now on, don't appear in front of us, or I'll beat you once I see you. And don't insult her." In a hotel room. "Boss, are these dishes ready? Would you like to order more?" The fat man turned to look at Sutinyu after reading the menu. Sutinyu would look in the direction of the door from time to time, not focusing on ordering. After hearing the fat man's words, he casually replied, "That's almost enough, then that's it?" "Oh, okay then." Anyway, the three of them have been together for so long, and they are quite familiar with their own tastes. The fat man ordered the dishes that the three of them liked, and then handed them to the waiter. "Boss, it's okay. Brother Qin will be measured." The fat man comforted Sutinyu. Although, he also felt that for a moment just now, Qin-Chi's face seemed a little scary. However, based on Fatty's understanding of Qin-Chi, nothing should happen, right? While the two were talking, they saw Qin-Chi coming in. Suddenly, the room was as quiet as a chicken. As soon as Qin-Chi came in, he saw two pairs of eyes staring directly at him, and his steps paused slightly. Then, he sat next to Sutinyu with a calm expression. The fat man caught Sutinyu's gaze, so he opened his mouth to warm up the situation. "Brother Qin, we have already ordered the food and they will be here in a moment." "Well, Let's eat first. Qin responded lightly and had no further words. Sutingyu was not sure what Qin meant for a while. Is this considered a revelation? Is Kikai so easy to coax now? Sutingyu and Fatty looked at each other. The former blinked his big eyes quickly and breathed a sigh of relief. After all the ordered dishes were served, Sutingyu said excitedly, come on, Kikai, Fatty, let's get started. This is delicious, this is delicious. And this, and this. Fat man, help me get that over there. Before the fat man could stand up, Qin took the first step and brought the entire plate of food and placed it in front of Sutingyu. When the fat man saw this scene, he sat back down silently. Therefore, Sutingyu naturally aroused Qin. Qin also naturally helped Sutingyu with various dishes. Basically, with a look from Sutingyu, Qin was able to pick up the vegetables Sutingyu wanted to eat first. Thank you, Kikai. Sutingyu thanked him while stuffing food into his mouth until his cheeks were bulging. Qin remained silent throughout the whole process. After all three of them had eaten and drank, Qin said, Fat man, you go and pay the bill first. I remember there seems to be a supermarket opposite the hotel. Go down and have a look. Ah, the fat man looked at Qin, who had a calm expression, and then at Sutingyu, who still looked unconcerned. Suddenly, the fat man seemed to realize something. He stood up quickly and nodded quickly, no problem. I'll go now. After saying that, the fat man hurried out of the private room and closed the door. Sutingyu smacked her lips and muttered, can't we go down together? Why did you just ask Fatty to go? Qin suddenly spoke and asked, what is your identity in this copy? As soon as he heard Qin mention this matter, Sutingyu immediately felt guilty. It's nothing, just ordinary. Sutingyu blinked her big, innocent, and cute eyes, trying to muddle through. What happened to the boyfriend? And what happened to running away from home? Qin's voice was very calm, but Sutingyu felt a sense of pressure to call for punishment. Sutingyu pursed his lips and immediately felt aggrieved, I'm also confused. As soon as I entered the dungeon, I received such a terrible identity. Sutingyu spoke out everything, and by the end, his whole expression looked like he was about to cry because of his grievance. The little fairy is so innocent. Seeing Sutingyu's pretending to be pitiful, even though Qin knew it was just pretending, his expression couldn't help softening, and he said helplessly, I didn't mean to hurt you. Hearing this, Sutingyu blinked his big eyes, really? That's what you said? You can't lie. You said you didn't mean anything to me. Qin raised his hand and stroked the top of Sutingyu's hair, really? Sutingyu's face changed in a second, and he immediately turned his nose up and smiled, then I take it seriously. It's just. Qin changed the topic and raised Sutingyu's heart that had just dropped. What? Sutingyu was nervous. Qin stared into Sutingyu's eyes and said in a low tone, it's just, I feel a little angry. Kikai. Sutingyu's face was a little panicked. She stretched out her little finger and carefully hooked Qin's cuff. Are you angry with me? That's just a copy of the NPC, not my real boyfriend. I'm not angry with you, nor with that NPC, Qin stated. Qin slowly made a decision in his heart. Originally, he had no intention of confessing now. After all mankind is now trapped in a parallel paradise. The survival of mankind and the continuation of human civilization are the primary issues. There is no room for other thoughts. Thinking like this, Qin continued, I'm just thinking that I don't seem qualified to interfere with your affairs. Kikai. When Sutingyu heard this, he felt even more that Qin was angry. So, big fish, can you give me a qualification? Huh? What? Sutingyu couldn't react for a while. Then she heard Qin's next sentence. I want to be your boyfriend. Sutingyu, Sutingyu froze on the spot. What? What did Kikai say? He said, want to be the little fairy's boyfriend. Ah. Sutingyu's heart felt like there were 10,000 deer jumping around like crazy. 10,000 fish are swishing their tails like crazy. Due to the large amount of information received, Sutingyu felt as if his brain was shutting down. Sutingyu didn't know what he was thinking now, and his heart was in a mess. At this moment, she really wanted to find a crack and get in immediately. Big fish. May I? However, Qin-Chi spoke again. The tone was low and gentle. Sutingyu, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. Kikai, this. Sutingyu felt that she couldn't go on like this, she wanted to take back the initiative. But the next second, Qin-Chi spoke again. This time, Qin-Chi lowered his head slightly, and a faint shadow fell on half of the man's handsome face, making him look a little lonely. After all, Big Fish has already seen me all over, so he has to take responsibility, right? Sutingyu. What? I, when? Sutingyu's eyes widened in shock. Qin-Chi tilted his head, his face seemed a little confused. Don't you remember Big Fish? After the trapped beast copy ended, in the hospital, thanks to Big Fish's care at that time. After saying that, Qin-Chi looked slightly unnatural. After all, that's not something worth showing off. But now, Qin-Chi has gritted his teeth and is ready to fight. As a result, the effect is outstanding. Sutingyu no longer knew what to say, all she could think about was Sigma, degree, I am going to rely on. In an instant, Sutingyu's memories that she had desperately ignored and selectively forgotten came back. Ah! Sutingyu felt that his cheeks were heating up rapidly, as if they were about to smoke. Kikai, that time was. Sutingyu said the first word, and the sound drifted far away, and he started to stutter afterward. Sutingyu's two little hands were twirling in front of her body, not stopping for a second. Seeing Sutingyu's reaction, Qin-Chi's eyebrows softened a little. It's okay, you don't have to give me an answer in a hurry. You can give me the answer after this round of dungeon is over. That low and gentle voice, like the breeze in March, flowed into Sutingyu's heart little by little. Suddenly, she felt that her whole heart was filled to the brim and felt very soft. Qin-Chi suddenly leaned over. Is it okay? Big Fish. Sutingyu couldn't see a single flaw in the suddenly enlarged handsome face in front of him, even if he wanted to find fault with it. It looked like a piece of unparalleled cold jade that had not been seen in 1,000 years. Sutingyu fixedly looked back at the man's sharp eyebrows, handsome nose, and beautiful lips with a faint blush. For a moment, Sutingyu, who was bewitched by the beauty, nodded blankly. Oh. As soon as Sutingyu finished speaking, he seemed to hear a low chuckle. Well, then I'll wait for Big Fish's answer. Sutingyu was lost in Qin-Chi's shallow smile again, and just nodded mechanically. Okay. The fat man must have been waiting down there for a long time. Let's go down. Qin-Chi stood up, took Sutingyu's little hand very naturally, and spoke calmly. Okay. Sutingyu looked like he was in a daze. She will respond to whatever Qin-Chi says. When the two of them walked down to the door of the hotel, Sutingyu was mostly awake when the wind blew her. When Sutingyu woke up, there were 10,000 marmots screaming in his heart. Come on, did Kikai just confess his love to her? Right. Sensing something strange about Sutingyu, Qin-Chi's face remained calm, but she silently held someone's little hand tightly. Sure enough, Sutingyu quickly remembered that the two of them were still holding hands. She was excited and was about to break free, but found that she couldn't break free no matter what. Damn it! The little person in Sutingyu's heart bit her handkerchief bitterly. Why did she not realize that Kikai looked so attractive before? It actually captured her soul just now. There are still more than 2 days left in this round of dungeons. When the dungeon is over, will the achievement give Kikai an answer? Ah! Sutingyu's mind was in a mess. Do you want to, refuse? A little white man seemed to pop up on Sutingyu's head, and he immediately kicked these 2 words away. The little white fish opened its big watery eyes. No, no, no. If you reject Kikai, Kikai will be sad. He will ignore you in the future. The next second, another little black man seemed to pop up on Sutingyu's head, with a fierce and cute expression. The little black fish put his hands on his high. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-K. Chapter 1016. Boss, Brother Chin, you are finally down. The fat man came out of the supermarket and happened to see the 2 people standing at the door of the hotel and ran over quickly. The fat man opened his mouth and said a lot. There are a lot of people in the supermarket rushing to buy supplies. The town officials have just announced that they will implement closed management. What should we do now? We should go back first. Let's keep walking. After regaining consciousness, Sutingyu coughed twice and said, it's only the 3rd day now. We need to continue to accumulate more points for that camp. Otherwise, in the next 2 days, the dungeon will become more chaotic and it will be more difficult to find other members of player from another world. Yes, the fat man nodded. Let's not go to the supermarket yet. Let's go find other players from other worlds first, Sutingyu said. After cutting leaks at the billiards club, a lot of game props exploded from those players from other worlds. Among them, several special game props were also revealed. Props, dark and matte white paper. Grade, blue mystery. Function, print the paper on any map, and you can locate the specific location of a designated group within the map within a short time limit, 3 hours, cooling time, 3 hours. Usage, 12/25. Remarks, please be careful not to fold. I just like to use the most unobstructed body to embrace the air and the world. Props, player detector. Grade, rare. Function, when using the detector, you can detect whether there are other players within a radius of 50 meters. Time limit, 4 hours, cooling time, 2 hours. Durability, 85%. Remarks, search and search, search and search, find a good friend, smile, shake hands, we are all good friends. Props, Kurtime's lost royal brooch. Grade, blue mystery. Function, hide an identity of the user. If the other party does not have high-level insight, it cannot be seen through. It will take effect when placed in the accessories column. This is a treasure that represents the identity of the mysterious emperor. At certain times, it may have unexpected effects. Durability, 92%. Note, I am just an ordinary social animal NPC. The first 2 game props can help Sutingyu and the others find other players quickly. The 3rd prop is a bit interesting. Sutingyu asked Fatty to try it on to understand the specific functions of the brooch. After a few operations, I figured it out. After the fat man puts on the brooch, if he hides his identity as an original resident of Kuyu Town, then when the police come to check his identity information, they will find that the fat man is a shady person. Fatty also discovered that he could hide the identity of the player. The function of this brooch feels somewhat similar to some of the functions of advanced disguise potions, both of which can be used for camouflage. The 3 of them thought about it for a while and decided to give this brooch to the fat man. As for the other 2 game props, Sutingyu and Qin Chi each took 1 piece. Sutingyu and the others can first use pitch black white paper to lock the specific positions of other players within a certain range. Then, use the player detector to conduct an accurate scan. After determining that it is a player from another world, you can start taking action. When things went wrong, the 3 of them immediately took action. Sutingyu and Qin Chi both took a bottle of advanced disguise potion to hide their appearance and game nickname. Later, Fatty found a suitable partial map of the town. Qin Chi pasted the white paper on the map, just enough to cover the entire map. After waiting for a few seconds, the white paper slowly became transparent, and then many small red dots appeared on the map. Some small red dots are still moving, and a 180-minute countdown is displayed on the back of the map. Sutingyu took a cursory look and found that there were at least hundreds of players displayed on this map. And these, in Sutingyu's eyes, are just points. So, the three of them followed the little red dots on the map and headed to the little red dot closest to them. In a rockery in a small park. Two men hid the body of a woman in a rockery. They then picked up some items that had fallen next to the woman's body. After more than 10 seconds, the woman's body disappeared out of thin air. "I've finally managed to get this woman, she ran so fast. Even if you can run away, it won't fall into the hands of our two brothers in the end." Yeah. With proud smiles on their faces, the two men walked out of the rockery one after another. "How many points do you have now?" "So, that is. I've been looking for a long time. How about we go and rest for a while?" "Okay, let's find a place to eat first." There was no one nearby, so the two of them talked freely, but as they were talking, they accidentally bumped into a fat man. "Who are you?" "You're blind." "Damn, it hurt me so much." Two players were almost knocked down by the fat man. After seeing the people clearly, they complained. However, both of them subconsciously checked the information of the fat man in front of them, and when they found no response, they relaxed their guard. It turns out that it's just an NPC. Seeing that he bumped into someone, the fat man quickly bent down and apologized. "I'm sorry, I was thinking about other things just now and didn't pay attention to the road. I'm really sorry. Are you okay?" One of the players waved his hand with an unlucky look on his face. "Hurry up and go away. I won't argue with you while I'm in a good mood now. I'm really sorry." Just when the two players' attention was attracted by the fat man in front of them, two figures quietly appeared behind them. Crack! Crack! It was like something suddenly shattered. Not good. It was the defensive props that reacted. When the two players realized something was wrong, they felt a pain in their chests. A bloody blade penetrated the chest from behind. The two players' eyes widened. They couldn't figure out why or how someone could come up behind them quietly. However, they died soon and there was no way to know the answer. Sutingyu and Qin Chi retracted their weapons at the same time, and the two corpses slowly fell to the ground. Qin Chi bent down and picked up the game props that the two players had revealed, and then said quietly to Sutingyu and the others, "Let's go, next." 4 hours later. After an afternoon of hard work, the points of the three of them have increased, especially Sutingyu and Qin Chi. Sutingyu expressed great satisfaction. "Moreover, I was even happier when I saw that my Blue Star Sides camp ranked first in points." Although, Sutingyu didn't know very well how many points were needed to extend the Black Tower's watch light. However, since the dungeon arranges for players from 5 worlds to compete with the dungeon, players from at least one world will be able to get the opportunity to extend the light of the Black Tower watch. Sutingyu thought to herself that as long as the points from most of the players in the other 4 worlds were taken away, it would definitely be enough to extend the use time of the Black Tower watching light. Yes, Sutingyu thought so simply and crudely. Of course, this is just a good wish. Players in other worlds are not all weak. The top 2 players on the personal combat power list are now players from other worlds. Although, this does not mean that other alien players are ridiculously strong and cannot be defeated. But Sutingyu was now barely in the top 20. If he wanted to overtake him, he could only pray that he would meet the player in front of him, then kill him and take away the points. "Boss, what's for dinner tonight?" The fat man's voice brought Sutingyu back from his thoughts. Unconsciously, the three of them were almost back at the door of Fatty's house. All nearby hotels and restaurants are now forced to close. Even the supermarkets were sold out. Fortunately, not to mention the reserves in the inventory, Sutinyu and Fatty prepared a lot of food yesterday, which was enough to survive the remaining 2 days. Fat man, I want braised pork. No problem, boss. I'd also like some fresh fish soup. Alright. I also want sausage rice. I remember buying sausage. Okay, everything is arranged. As Sutinyu said this, he quickly ran to the door of his house, and then waved his hand to urge Fatty, Fatty, hurry up, open the door. After the fat man came to open the door, Sutinyu ran directly into the house. As soon as he got home, Lucifer, who was trapped in the inventory, also flew out. In less than 2 seconds, he turned on the TV in the living room with clear purpose. However, all the programs on the TV are now off the air, only the news is left. All the stations are playing the news on an endless loop. The events reported in the news are all related to little red flower. Due to the spread of small red flower pollen, many residents in the town have gone crazy. The whole town is now a bit panicked. Everyone who is still conscious is afraid that they will get this crazy disease, or that the people around them will pounce on them and bite them in the next second. Ah, by the way, you drink this bottle of potion first. Sutinyu took out 2 bottles of antidote potion from the storage ring and handed them to Chin-Chi and Fatty. When they were outside during the day, for safety reasons, the 3 of them also used various game items that could resist toxins and other bad conditions. As a major owner of magic potions, Sutinyu was responsible for the safety of the 3 of them. Because it is still unclear how powerful this little red flower can infect the human body, a bottle of antidote is taken every once in a while. In addition, Sutinyu and the others had killed so many players and picked up a lot of game items. Among these game items, there are also props with similar functions that can be used directly. After the 3 of them took the antidote respectively, the fat man got into the kitchen. In the living room, Lucifer saw that there were no cartoons on the TV, so he took his computer and hid in the room to catch up on the show. Sutinyu and Chin-Chi were the only ones left in the entire living room. At this time, Sutinyu thought of the scene where he was suddenly confessed to during the day. All of a sudden, his cheeks seemed to feel slightly warm again. Sutinyu's eyes were darting randomly, but she didn't dare to look in Chin-Chi's direction. Fat man, do you want me to help you? Sutinyu shouted in the direction of the kitchen and was about to walk into the kitchen. Unexpectedly, the fat man replied directly, No, boss, I can do it alone. It will be troublesome for you to come in. Can Sutinyu know how to cook? How could a fat man who has been together for so long not know? Therefore, if Sutinyu could be prevented from touching the kitchen utensils, he should not be allowed to touch them. Sutinyu, who was suddenly rejected, could only stop where he was in embarrassment as he walked towards the kitchen. Chin-Chi glanced at the fruit on the tea table and asked, Big fish, do you want to eat fruit? I'll wash it for you. Suting's eyes quickly glanced around, and suddenly she saw a small broken flower jumping out from the window. Sutinyu's eyes lit up and she ran over immediately. Little Huahua, you are finally back. Little Kanhua was a little confused. Why is the owner inexplicably so enthusiastic about sending money? Sutinyu hugged Xiao Huahua very excitedly. How's it going? How's your harvest going? Ever since he learned that the small residual flowers could devour small red flowers to increase his own strength, Sutinyu released them and let them devour the nearby small red flowers on their own. Thanks to the efforts of the little residual flowers, the smell of pollen that permeates the air in this area of the house has been significantly reduced. Moreover, on their way back, Sutinyu and the others didn't encounter any crazy or demented people nearby. Gila gila. Gila gila. Ziokan Huawai reports. Sutinyu nodded with a smile, okay, then I'll go out and have a look. After saying that, he turned and ran out the door. Big. Before Qin-Chi could say anything, he was gone. Seeing this scene, Qin-Chi turned his head, glanced at the fruit he was holding, and fell into deep thought. Is Dayu still struggling with his confession during the day? Or is it? Qin-Chi's expression suddenly condensed. He thought of going online to check the confession guide before the open beta started. It seems to be said on the internet that if the confession fails, then the two will most likely not even be friends, and the relationship will become very awkward. In the end, they will drift apart and become strangers. Qin-Chi originally thought that Dayu was not the type to dislike him, but also had a good impression of him. But now, seeing Sutingyu's reaction, he was a little unsure again. Qin-Chi felt a little annoyed in his heart. Really? Now is not the best time to express his feelings. He should confirm Dayu's feelings again. So now, is he embarrassing Dayu? Will Big Fish really be like what is said on the internet, and will ignore him in the future? At this time, Sutingyu, who had escaped, didn't know Qin-Chi's entanglement. He only felt that he was extremely witty. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 1017. Sutingyu stood in the yard, looking at the 108 small flowers that had shrunk before her eyes. How was your harvest? Gila gila. Master, when we were eating red flowers, we were accidentally discovered by others, and several of our species were injured. Fortunately, they all escaped. Sutingyu frowned. Injured? What happened? Nowadays, the strength of the little residual flowers is already very strong. It is impossible to defeat ordinary people or ordinary players. Gila gila. From Xiao Kanhua's narration, Sutingyu learned what happened. The person who injured Xiao Kanhua was indeed a player. However, some players rely on game props to restrain Camellia, and some players simply are too strong and cannot defeat Camellia. Because Su listened to use instructions to mainly devour the little red flowers, so after finding out that they couldn't beat them, the little residual flowers didn't want to fight and just ran away. Sutingyu breathed a sigh of relief. So far so good. The 108 small broken flowers she left behind were all still in good condition. If one is missing, wouldn't it be enough for 108? As long as you are fine, if I encounter someone who hits you in the future, I will help you hit them back. Gila gila. Thank you, Master. The Master is mighty. Sutingyu calmed down a wave of little Kanhuakan, and then began to assign subsequent tasks to them. The first one is the vigil tonight, more than 100 small broken flowers, divided into two batches. One group watched outside the house for half the night, while the other group went to the nearby area and continued to search for and devour the little red flowers. Wait until the middle of the night, and then rotate again. Sutingyu felt that her arrangement was perfect and there was nothing wrong with it. Then, Sutingyu did not rush back to the house, but continued to squat in the yard. The main thing is that now at night, there are many stars in the night sky and they are very beautiful. Sutingyu had a sudden idea and wanted to appreciate the stars to cultivate his sentiment. It wasn't until a while later that the fat man who had prepared the meal came out and asked Sutingyu to come in and eat. Sutingyu touched his somewhat dry belly and had no choice but to turn around and go back to the house. As soon as he entered the house, even if he deliberately avoided looking, Sutingyu could still feel. As soon as she came in, Qin-Chi kept staring at her. Sutingyu barely maintained his composure on his face, walked to the dining table almost hand in hand, and sat down on it. Qin-Chi remained silent as usual. The fat man didn't notice anything was wrong. After putting all the dishes on the table, he invited the two of them to eat. This is delicious, boss, eat more, Brother Chin, use your chopsticks quickly. In the fat man's unscrupulous voice, Suting gradually relaxed. Little broken flowers and the others are back. Tonight, I will ask them to keep watch for us. That's good, so we don't have to keep vigil, the fat man replied. Yeah, but you still have to be careful. I feel like this copy should still be holding back its ultimate move. In addition, we must also be prepared for sneak attacks by other players at night. Although, Sutingyu and the others could wait for the cool-down time of the props to pass, and then go get more camp points at night. However, it is not very safe to operate at night, especially since this round of copies still has the unstable factor of Little Red Flower. For safety's sake, it's better to stay put. Half an hour later. I'm full. I'll go up and find Lucifer first. After Sutingyu had finished eating, he packed up his dishes, went to the kitchen to wash the dishes, and then slipped back into the room. The fat man looked at Sutingyu's leaving figure. Then he looked at Qin Shi, who was still eating silently. The fat man belatedly realized that something was wrong. So, the fat man moved his chair, approached Qin Shi, and said in a low voice, "Brother Qin, are you having trouble with the boss?" Qin Shi, "No." Ah, this. Fatty didn't believe it. Is this really not a conflict? The fat man spoke in relief. The big boss temper comes out as soon as he thinks about it. Otherwise, Brother Qin can just go and talk to her and let her go, right? Actually, I think that Mike during the day is just a passerby. The boss has a little relationship with him because of his identity. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I think in the eyes of the big guys, just Mike is definitely not as good as Brother Qin. Hearing this, Qin Shi turned to look at the fat man. He didn't speak, just raised his hand and patted the fat man on the shoulder. Then, he stood up, put away his dishes, and walked to the kitchen. In the end, the fat man was left alone, sitting at the dining table with a confused look on his face. Did I say something wrong? Aren't these two people just arguing over that mic? But no matter what, Fatty didn't expect it. During the day, while he was leaving the hotel, someone had confessed his love. Moreover, now I think that I have failed in my confession and am in isolation. At this time, there are more and more crazy patients in the whole town. Even many official personnel have been infected. The already precarious social order also began to collapse on a large scale. All the town's network methods for external communication have inexplicably failed. If you can't call for help, you can only leave Kuyu town directly. But soon, people were horrified to discover that at some point, a burst of mist-like pink pollen had emerged from the outermost boundary of the town, surrounding the entire town. The humans who originally lived on the outskirts of the town all fell into a deep sleep. If they were not still breathing weakly, they would really think they were dead. And those who are unconscious cannot be woken up. During the day, the people who went to explore the road became more frightened as they went deeper. Ah! Mummy, mummy. In the messy exploration team, they discovered a group of corpses that were all green and had completely lost all their flesh and bones, leaving only shriveled skin. And there are quite a lot of them. Facing the abnormal fan pollen, the explorers put on gas masks and went deep into the pollen fog, trying to find a way out to the outside world. But one thing after another, in the end, all the pathfinders who entered the pollen fog disappeared. The only person who returned had taken off his gas mask and was still drooling stupidly. He couldn't remember anything. There was no way, all the people who explored the path returned without success. Some ordinary people do not believe in evil and directly break into the pollen fog. Some people retrace their steps and have neurological problems. Some people simply disappeared, and their life or death was unknown. At night. In the small town, it is rare to see anyone coming out. Not only did a large amount of pollen appear at the edge of the town, but even in the center of the town, there was a pollen haze with high visibility. At this time, the residents of the town also realized that it was the flowers and plants in the town that caused the series of disasters. For a time, the people were furious. Soon, the residents began to light torches and burn all the flowers and plants that they once regarded as treasures. If there is no open flame, use a hoe to dig. Just use a sickle to cut. Just pull it out with your hands. Each beautiful flower was crushed and mixed into the soil. Burn. Burn everything. Damn flowers. These are nightmares. They are ominous things. All the flowers that could be burned were burned. Slowly, someone noticed the little red flower blooming in the corner. Because the excitement got the best of me, I threw out the fire. But who would have known, when an ordinary little red flower encounters danger, its buds will suddenly grow dozens of times in size. Just take a bite. Swallow the fire. The flower juice inside the bud immediately extinguished the fire. Ah! Monster! Monster! The little red flower that revealed its original form no longer concealed itself, and the vines that grew out entangled the limbs and bodies of the residents. In the next second, the whole person was drained dry at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the color of the petals of the little red flower that ate a person is even more bright as blood. After eating alone, he immediately goes to look for the next person. Scatters of small red flowers grew several times in size and began to cover cars, street lights, houses, and roads bit by bit. The fourth day of copy. After Sutinyu woke up, he rubbed his eyes and opened the curtains. But the next second, Sutinyu's little sleepiness was scared away. Sutinyu's eyes widened and she looked out the window in shock. The town where she could still see high-rise buildings and roads was now covered by huge plants. On those plants, there are also delicate little red flowers blooming. It's like covering the building with an extra layer of flower wallpaper, and the entire town has been reduced to the most primitive world of flowers and plants. Sutinyu immediately turned around and opened the door of the room to find Qin-Chi and Fatty. The other two people also woke up during this time. After discovering the shocking changes outside, the three of them gathered in the living room. Damn, it's only been one night, why has it become so outrageous? The fat man's eyes were slightly glazed over, still unable to believe what he just saw. It was obviously just a night. The entire town was actually occupied by these inconspicuous little red flowers. Qin-Chi also went out to take a look just now. The room they were in was guarded by small red flowers, so those small red flowers did not grow. Therefore, the house can still stand well here. Just in this current situation, can they stay here and survive the entire dungeon safely? Sutinyu opened the panel to check the camp points. So far, Blue Star is still the world with the most points. However, in the personal power rankings, Sutinyu discovered that some players' nicknames had turned completely gray, instead of being white like most players. After a period of time, the rankings of all gray nicknames will drop down, and no nicknames will be seen climbing up. Why is this? However, Sutinyu quickly found the answer in the barrage. It turns out that those nicknames that have turned gray are players who have been eliminated from the dungeon. Since the points they had when they were eliminated from the dungeon were still enough to put them on the list, they stayed on it. But because they have been eliminated from the dungeon, their points can no longer continue to rise. When the points of the latecomers increase, they will naturally surpass them. In this round of dungeons, it is not just the fight between players that leads to elimination. If there is an accident that leads to death, he will still be eliminated. However, if you are eliminated without being killed by a player, half of your points will not be deducted. Sutinyu looked at the many grayed out player nicknames on the list. This had never happened before last night. Is this possible? Is it because of what happened last night? Little red flowers cannot cover the entire town in the blink of an eye, there must be a process. And in this process, maybe some players died accidentally. The fat man asked, "Boss, what should we do now?" How about we stay in the house and wait for these 2 days to pass? Nowadays, the air outside is almost completely polluted by pollen. If you go out without any protection and take a few breaths, you will probably go crazy in the next second. Sutingyu looked at the scores of players on the panel and felt itchy in her heart. But what can be done, Sci? Then let's stay here first. Although points are important, clearing the dungeon is also important. However, Sutingyu wanted to be safe and sound, but his wish was not fulfilled. A dozen players were fleeing in panic, hiding here and there. Now in the whole town, the pollen of those little red flowers is pervasive, and there is no place where it can stay for a long time. Hurry! Hurry! Boss! There don't seem to be any strange flowers near the house in front. Let's go. Go over there. The closer these players got, the more surprised they were to find that there was indeed no trace of little red flowers on the front and back of this house. Boss, this. Hush, the boss among the players said solemnly, it's so abnormal, unreasonable. Now the whole town is about to be taken over by little red flowers, why is it here? When encountering such an unexpected phenomenon, the average player would probably only focus on the immediate safety issue and go in foolishly. But if you are a player who thinks you have some strength and some sense, when encountering this situation, you will definitely react as if you have encountered a hidden plot in the copy, and naturally you cannot let it go in vain. Boss, how about we go explore the road first? Okay, the boss nodded and couldn't help but agree. Nowadays, with such a safe place, it's hard not to be tempted. However, everyone, please be careful and check how long your detoxification tools can last. Get your weapons out, we're going in. When these people were thinking about this house, their approach also attracted the attention of the little Kanhuas. So, he immediately reported it to Sutingyu. In the living room, Sutingyu, who originally thought about lying down for this round of dungeons, immediately jumped up from the sofa like a spring when he heard the news. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 1018. Originally, Sutingyu felt a little bit regretful because he had no points. However, Sutingyu has no regrets now. Because the points have been delivered to your door. How many people are there outside? Sutingyu asks Yao Kanhua. Gila 15 people. When Sutingyu heard this number of people, he pursed his lips. This is too little. However, 15 is just 15, there is still some meat in it anyway. Fat man, you stay inside and look after the house. Me and, I'll go out and take a look. So listen to use words midway, paused again, and quickly walked towards the door with Xiao Kanhua. Boss, remember to wear a gas mask, Fatty reminded. Oh, Sutingyu found a gas mask from the storage ring and put it on his face. Just as he was about to open the door, he felt someone walking behind him. The next second, Qin Chi's voice came, give me one too. Sutingyu was stunned for a moment, but he quickly took out a new gas mask from the storage ring, here you go. Sutingyu's fingertips touched the back of Qin Chi's hand for a moment. Sutingyu seemed to be burned all of a sudden, and quickly retracted his hand as if to hide something. Ahem, let's go. Qin Chi's eyebrows were gloomy. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. He was always holding back his breath. At this time, the group of players outside who were approaching the house stopped and became more vigilant when they discovered that the door of the house was open. Someone's out. Be careful. After Sutingyu and Qin Chi came out, they directly met the people outside. Only 2 people. Boss. The players under his command could no longer hold back, and the leading player could only say, go. A quick victory. Sutingyu was gearing up and was about to take out his meteor rod to fight, but Qin Chi took action first. Rise. Qin Chi spoke calmly. Sutingyu didn't hear clearly what Qin Chi said. The next second, he saw Qin Shi's ancient bronze sword flying out in an instant. The ancient sword was surrounded by layers of black evil spirits, and those black evil spirits quickly condensed into black chains, surrounding the players from other worlds. What the hell? Be careful! When the black chains completely surrounded the 15 players from another world, in the blink of an eye, the circle formed by the chains suddenly shortened. Those players from other worlds didn't even react, they were already bound by black chains. And the black evil energy that comes with the black chains is also corroding the bodies of those players from other worlds. AHH. Pain struck, and some other world players who couldn't hold it back screamed out. This is... Sutingyu blinked, and suddenly she turned to look at the ancient bronze sword in the center of the black evil aura. Why does it feel like there is a figure holding a sword? When Sutingyu tried to see clearly again, he could no longer see anything. Finally, Qin Shi waved slightly, and the ancient bronze sword flew back. The chains on the players from other worlds also disappeared and fell to the ground one by one. Almost half of the 15 players from other worlds who originally came over died on the spot. The remaining half has no ability to resist. From beginning to end, these players had no chance to fight back. And Sutingyu had no chance to take action. Ah, this. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. Why is Kikai so irritable? This is a bit heavy-handed. Qin Shi turned his head and said to Sutingyu, Big you can make up for the remaining half. The panel system stipulates that only the player who kills last can receive points. Ah. Oh, okay, Sutingyu nodded. Then, take out the death blade and hit them one by one. Soon, the points were credited one by one. Sutingyu looked at the increased points and felt happy. Woohoo! It would be nice if there were more leaks. And what happened next was as Sutingyu wished. Because there were no small red flowers near the house where Sutingyu and the three of them lived, which were too conspicuous. The nearby players who were escaping or the surviving residents all rushed here in a swarm. As for the player group, if they were not Blue Star players, Sutingyu would just start playing. Only a few players from other worlds can escape. However, most of the other world players directly helped Sutingyu's ranking on the list continue to rise. As for the Blue Star players, if they don't offend Sutingyu and the others, they will leave them to take refuge in the yard for the time being. However, the players who come here are easy to deal with, but the NPC residents in those small towns are a bit difficult to deal with. Moreover, the house is such a big place, and there is no way to accommodate too many people. In addition, Sutingyu resolutely did not allow these people to break into the house, and only allowed them to stay outside the yard. There were no small red flowers in the field outside the yard, because all the remaining flowers had been cleared away beforehand. The two courtyards at the front and back can only accommodate more than 100 people, and it will be very crowded. When the number of people increased, no one could stand in the courtyard anymore, and people would step on each other's feet from time to time. As a result, those people staying in the yard began to complain about the three Sutingyu who occupied the entire house by themselves. Among them, there are also some players from other worlds who are setting the pace. Why do they take over a whole house? This is a time of crisis and they should dedicate their entire house to give us all shelter. It's just too selfish. Once someone boos, it is equivalent to detonating a barrel of explosives. More and more residents began to take it for granted that Sutingyu and the other three should dedicate their entire house. Soon, the sound of knocking on the door and the window alerted the three people in the house. Sutingyu and the others also expected that there would be such a result. It was only a matter of time. Sutingyu glanced at the time. It's not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The three of them have just finished lunch, and now they can stretch their muscles a little. Sutingyu ran to the second floor and opened the window. When he lowered his head, he saw a crowd of people below, all surrounding him. After Sutingyu opened the window, the people below saw her and pointed at her and shouted. Come down quickly. Come down quickly. Open the door and let us in quickly. One person yelled. Everyone also found out. Soon, everyone discovered Sutinyu on the second floor. Sutinyu took out a loudspeaker and said to the outside, "Have you forgotten what I said when I first allowed you to stay in the yard?" As soon as these words came out, some people in the crowd hesitated. This house and this yard originally belonged to us. Now that something big has happened, we have vacated this yard to give you a place to stay. What do you want to do now? Be ungrateful. Those last four words directly made some people feel ashamed. Most of the initial arrogance of the crowd was gone. However, at this time, those players with ulterior motives in the crowd continued to fan the flames. You are too selfish. There are so many of us, how can 1 yard be enough? Don't you have a 3-story house? You gave us the first and second floors, and you still have the 3rd floor above. That's right, to say all this is just selfish and just wants to watch us die. As soon as these words came out, many residents felt that they made sense again. So, the commotion started again. Open the door quickly. For the sake of freeing up the yard for us, we haven't broken down the door yet. Come down quickly and open the door for us. To say so many words is actually just selfish. That little girl is so cold-blooded and heartless. Didn't your parents support you in studying? They have no sympathy at all. Seeing that the group of people below could no longer persuade him, Sutinyu gave up and wanted to take other measures. But, let's coax him out for now. Okay, you wait. After saying this, Sutinyu disappeared from the window. However, because of this promise, those who continued to cause trouble stopped. But at this time, the players below were very confused. She's really willing to let us all in. It's unlikely. Are there any players so stupid? From this look, everyone cannot be allowed in. Giving in again and again will only make people more greedy. This is the evil of human nature. The people in the yard waited for a while, but saw no sign of the door opening. Slowly, he started to get restless. Damn! Is that girl lying to us? What are you waiting for? Just knock the door open. Let's rush in. There are only 3 of them. Is it possible that they can beat so many of us? I don't want to stay outside and be eaten by those monsters. Just when everyone was about to break down the door, there was an additional speaker next to the window on the 2nd floor. A piece of music slowly played. Music? Where does the music come from? It seems to be coming from upstairs. Damn, the people inside still have the nerve to play music. They just don't care about our life or death. One person started to curse. But slowly, some people suddenly felt sleepy and couldn't help but yawn. 1, 2, 3. When the first person fell to the ground due to sleepiness, the rest of them also fell asleep one after another. In the crowd, some players realized something was wrong and immediately covered their ears. However, the singing can still be heard clearly. Plop. 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 Finally, everyone in the yard fell unconscious. Sutinyu opened the door and saw that the yard was full of unconscious people. So, he turned around and greeted Chin-Chi and Fatty in the room, "Come out." All 3 came out wearing gas masks. Then, start filtering out the players among these people. With so many people, there must have been some other world players mixed in already. If there were players from other worlds who came from the beginning, they would all be eliminated by Sutinyu and the others. Later, when NPCs were present, Sutinyu and the other 3 couldn't kill those other world players in front of them. Moreover, there is no way to explain the origin of all kinds of strange props. Therefore, we can only temporarily let those players from other worlds mix with the crowd. However, now that everyone has fallen down, Sutinyu and the other 3 can check out who are the players without restraint. In addition, blue star players and alien players are actually very easy to distinguish. It may be that the copy is deliberately provoking competition between players from different worlds. If you meet a player in the same world, only the game nickname will be displayed. But if you encounter players from different worlds, in addition to the game nickname, there will also be special tips. That is, there is an extra prefix in front of the game nickname. For example, Alien Angel Su. After a search, Sutingyu and the others discovered no less than 20 players from other worlds. Sutingyu first erased everyone's memories of the singer, and then began to eliminate the players from other worlds. After clearing out the players from other worlds, Sutingyu asked Xiao Kanhua and others to grow some vines that could bind people, and tied them all up. The NPC was thrown out of the yard. The blue star players stayed in the courtyard for the time being. After all, the blue star camp's points in this round of dungeons cannot be maintained by just one or a few people. As long as these blue star players did not directly endanger the lives of Sutingyu and the others, the latter was still willing to be generous and spare their lives as much as possible. In this way, after everything was assigned, Sutingyu and the other three returned to the house. After a few hours, those who were hypnotized outside slowly woke up. When he woke up, he found that he was tied up. The players were the first to wake up, with shocked expressions on their faces. Their hands and feet were tightly tied, and they couldn't get out the game props. As they tried to recall what happened before they fell into coma, it seemed like, what was it? They completely forgot about Sutingyu singing. However, these players still remember a large group of people trying to break into the house. So, in this situation, the three players in the house should have subdued all of them. What do those three people want to do? Why did they tie us up? Hey! People inside, please let me out quickly. Some rational players warned, stop howling. It's a good thing they didn't throw us out of the yard. Forget it, it's quite safe in the yard now anyway, and there are a lot less people. Let alone standing, even sleeping here can roll several times. In fact, some players with a relatively broad mentality have completely calmed down and accepted the current situation. However, the residents outside the yard did not have such a good attitude. Especially when they saw that they were tied up by such inexplicable vines, they thought it was caused by the little red flower, and they all screamed in horror. Someone come and save me. I don't want to die, I don't want to die.